Gerstberger versus Wilson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
Ms. Gerstberger, you and the defendant have a child together.
Yes.
How old is that child?
7.
And how long have you lived apart?
Approximately 3 years.
According to your complaint, both of you were at your son's school, and outside of the school, the defendant was riding his bike, and you and your fiancé were in your car, and the defendant threw rocks at your car. The defendant says he never threw rocks at your car, but that you filed a false police report, as a result of which he was arrested, I assume, for vandalism. He was tried, found not guilty, and he wants to be reimbursed for his attorney's fees. Is that right?
Correct.
When did this incident occur?
September 6th of 2001.
What were you doing at the school?
Dropping my son off for his first day of school.
And is that why you were there too, sir?
Correct.
Did you see the plaintiff before she went in?
Yes, I did.
Did you have any discussion with her?
No.
Is that correct?
No, it's not, Your Honor. My fiance and I had arrived at the school to drop David off, and when we walked in the door, Daniel was standing there. There were words exchanged.
What kind of words?
The only statement that I heard at that time was Daniel make a reference to Paul, stating, "Just remember who his father is," referring to David.
Okay.
And Paul responded back with, "Well, who tucks him in at night?" At that point, I ushered my son
That was a
forward.
stupid statement.
Yes, it was.
Of course it was.
The words were exchanged. Unfortunately, I ushered my son away from it because I didn't want him to have to hear that. We proceeded to go up to the classroom to drop him off.
You both went into the classroom.
Yes.
Who left first?
Daniel did.
No, that's not correct.
Who left first?
They did. I waited for them to leave because me and Paul were still arguing in the classroom over the fact that they had written my son's last name as David Wilson Bass on his folders, and I introduced myself to...
Introduce yourself as the child's father?
No, ma'am, I did not.
Did you know that the defendant was going to be there that day?
No, I did not, ma'am.
We
Well,
do
I
have
feel-
joint custody of the child.
All right. What happened when you got outside? You tell me first, your version.
Okay. Paul and I had stopped on the way out, spoke to a couple of friends. When we got outside, we had proceeded to the truck. Daniel was on his bike riding up the street. We drove up the street, and the
Past
rocks...
him?
Yes.
Go ahead.
And I heard something hit the vehicle. I looked out, and Daniel was there. I assumed what he threw was rocks, causing the damage. I do have pictures of the damage he caused. We proceeded up the street to a red light. We got to that red light, and Daniel had gotten up there also. An altercation ensued where
Tell me about the altercation.
Daniel was outside of the vehicle, yelling, screaming.
You mean he got off the bike?
Yes, being very irate. Paul was inside the vehicle, and he was trying to get out of the vehicle. I was trying to keep Paul in the vehicle, saying, he's not worth this. You're just going to get in more trouble. Don't bother. We'll go to the police and let the police handle it. And that was the end of it. We went to the police station, filed the police report, and got an estimate for the damage.
Okay, now let me hear your version of these events, sir.
Okay, on that day, September 6, 2001, I was in my son's classroom after
No,
they
don't
had...
start from the beginning. Just go to, now you're outside. You have words
Okay.
with Paul, who said some stupid things.
Okay, I'm coming to the front door of the school, and I look out the window of the school door, and I see right directly across the street their vehicle. They're in it, and they leave. I then proceed a quarter of a mile down the walkway to a bike rack where my bike was locked up. They must have turned around and came back because they came down Girard Avenue, and Paul was yelling out the passenger window saying, "I ain't no effing father, I'm big fat," this and that and everything else.
To you?
To me. So I then proceeded to get on my bike to just leave. So I made a left and turned down 66th Street, and they come up behind me, they swerve at me, yelling out the window, I better pedal because I'm big and fat and everything else. And they continued down 66th Street. When I got to where Dunkin' Donuts is, they were at a red light, and there's an alley behind Dunkin' Donuts. I took my bike, went behind the alley. I then went home and proceeded to file a police report against Mr. Bass and received a restraining order and had it issued for the incidents that occurred that day.
Can I see your copy of the police report, of your police report, please?
I don't have a police report, ma'am. I was unable to get one. I also, however, was issued a restraining order against Daniel.
So you have mutual restraining orders?
Yes.
No, her restraining
Mine-
order is no longer in effect due to the fact that she got a restraining order based on the false charges that were filed against me, and when I won my criminal mischief case and it was all dismissed, they told me that the order of protection was also dismissed with it.
Okay, so you have an order of protection?
On Mr. Bash, yes, I do.
Now, there's something in the papers here that you folks are involved in some family court proceedings. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me about those proceedings.
It's a very messy relocation hearing.
Who wants to relocate?
I do.
Well, where do you want to go to?
I want to go back to Pittsburgh, which is where I'm originally from. I have a job waiting for me.
And where do you live, sir?
Niagara Falls.
And you lived together as a family with your son for 4 years before you separated?
On and off, Your Honor. It wasn't a steady 4 years. There was a history of physical abuse, verbal abuse. It was ugly.
Well, maybe the judge will let you go back to Pittsburgh.
I'm hoping.
Well, but not with your son. You can go back and live with Paul. You don't take the child away just because you have a job.
Well, we haven't
Mothers
had any
think that they can just
hearings.
pick up their children and leave and go hundreds and hundreds of miles away for somebody you have an order of joint custody?
Correct.
And that case was ongoing when you had this case?
Yes.
When this situation took place?
Correct.
Yes.
It was 3 days before the actual trial was going to start.
Well,
And if they would have
how
got...
fortuitous to have him arrested for criminal mischief at that time.
Your Honor.
Especially when you're going through a situation. Listen, I want to tell you something. You may have found a new life, and that's wonderful. And you may have found a very nice man to be, surrogate father when his father isn't around, to be there and to be another male influence. And hopefully it's a good influence, and that's fine. But you're not his father. End of discussion. You're not his father. And you don't say to his father, who tucks him in at night. That's a really dumb thing to say. And you certainly don't register a child at school and give a last name as Bass.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sherry Gertzberger says the father of her child, Daniel Wilson, threw a rock at her car. Daniel claims the incident started when Sherry's fiancé insulted him in front of their son.
All right. According to your testimony today, madam, you did not see him throw anything at your car.
No.
If I believed your story that he merely chased you on his bicycle while you were in a truck, which doesn't sound normal. Maybe it was a pebble that hit your car. Who knows?
Your Honor?
If anything hit your car. But you didn't see him hit your car at all.
No, but my witness did.
Really? Call the witness.
Well, I'm a little nervous, Your Honor. Just bear with
That's
me.
very good.
Okay, now on that
You're
day...
screaming out the window at him.
No, that's not how... No, Your Honor. Okay, after we left the school, there was no word said to him. Okay, we were driving down the car, down the street in our car. Okay, he's on his bike. We drive past him.
Why?
As we drive past
Just a
him, 'cause
second.
that's the way we
Why?
leave, Your Honor, because that's the road that you take to leave.
Then why didn't you wait? Why didn't you wait? If you had had negative confrontation with him in the school, which you did, and if you see him, put that down, please. If you see him on his bicycle, and if you don't want to get into a confrontation with him again, then you wait 5 minutes, and you say, listen, let him move on with his bicycle so that he's far away so we don't get into this problem. And if you absolutely have to leave, take another route if you're not looking for trouble. Now I'll continue to hear you. You have a good reason to be nervous. Go ahead. Make sure that everything you say is accurate.
All right, Your Honor, it is accurate. Okay, and like I said, we were driving down the street. Okay, as we passed him, I seen him throw, I think it was rocks, at the vehicle. I heard
He had
it
it in his
hit.
hand while he was driving the bicycle.
Yes, Your Honor, that's right.
Okay, sit down.
Okay.
Now, the fact that you were found not guilty after a trial does not necessarily mean that you didn't do it. It
Correct.
just means that the district attorney was not able to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand?
Correct.
But I don't think that they've proven that you damaged the car. I certainly think that the plaintiff had sufficient reason based upon things that were happening at that time. She wanted to be certainly back in Pennsylvania at the beginning of the school year with her child, and she thought she'd be able to get that easily, that it might have been advantageous for her to file charges against you, and thinking that maybe that would give her a leg up in the proceeding.
Your Honor?
Certainly they exercised poor judgment. You exercised poor judgment when, according to him, you saw him leaving the school and got into your truck and followed in the same direction that he was going after there had already been a verbal confrontation in the school, and there should never have been a verbal confrontation in the school involving these two gentlemen when the child was around. That's very bad judgment.
Okay, Your Honor,
Yes.
this man, there's a history here with this. He has done other damage to my vehicle. In August of 2001, he was supposed to be registered in anger management courses to learn how to control his temper with a severe physical abuse problem. Drugs, alcohol. He ran the whole spectrum of problems. And he was also on conditional release and probation for a previous conviction on a forgery charge. I'm not looking for a problem with him. I'm not looking
Then you shouldn't
for
have followed
any further
him.
problems.
Then you shouldn't have followed him.
I should be allowed to drive down any street that I would like to drive down.
Not if you're afraid of him. If what you say is that he has this anger problem, then it would seem to me, if you were a prudent person and say, listen, I don't want to get into a confrontation with this man who is violent. Let's sit in the truck for 3 minutes and let him drive away. Someone that I was afraid of and I thought had a violent temper had gone, left the location. I would sit there and wait until the parking lot was empty before I got up to leave. Or I would take a different route even if it took me a half a mile out of the way. I wouldn't go looking for trouble. And as I explained to you, sir, the district attorney was not able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did throw a rock or something else at the car. I'm not satisfied that you didn't, so I'm not giving you your attorney's fees. Bottom line is, you weren't found innocent. You were found not guilty. There's a big difference. You understand?
Correct.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's been arrested numerous times for forgery, abuse, drugs, and he gets away with everything.
They get away with a lot more than anybody really knows what about.
This man does whatever he wants, and nobody seems to ever do anything about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walker versus Lund. Step forward, please.
36-year-old construction worker David Walker is suing his former father-in-law, 68-year-old retired school teacher Donald Lund, for getting rid of his personal belongings. David is suing for $5,000.
Mr. Walker, the defendant is your former father-in-law, and he was also the landlord in the home that you shared with your wife.
Yes.
According to your complaint, sometime in March of 2000, you were removed from your home, and your wife obtained a restraining order against you. Is that right?
That's correct.
You claim that your father-in-law either destroyed or gave away or removed personal property of yours that was in the home.
Yes, I do.
And you want to be reimbursed for that property.
Yes, ma'am.
Your father-in-law says that sometime in September of 2000, he was notified that he had to get rid of a lot of junk on the property. He removed all that stuff. Is that right?
Well, I removed not his stuff. I removed the stuff that was in the yard debris, stuff like that.
Now, Mr. Walker, I'd like you to give me some idea of what property you say was left on the property in March of 2000.
Okay, well, I had 3 vehicles, 2 pickup trucks, a camper. and also
3 vehicles?
3 vehicles.
Okay. Now, when for the first time, sir, did you request that property?
Quite a few times between March and September, I'd spoke with Don and asked how I could go about retrieving my property. When it finally did come time for the vehicles to be removed from the property, like he said, Don had to get a tow truck to remove the 2 trucks that were in the driveway, and he moved them just adjacent the driveway in front of the home where I'm not allowed to come obtain them.
So, where are they?
They were towed by the city.
When were you notified that they were towed?
Immediately I knew they were towed.
So why don't you go get them?
I couldn't get them out of the impound.
Why not?
I didn't have the money to.
Well, that's not his fault.
Okay.
First of all, he was under no obligation to pay for towing your trucks off that property in the first place. You could have done that yourself.
We couldn't do that because of my ex-wife.
What do you mean? You said you spoke to him.
I spoke to him and he told me to come over to meet him on the property and have him towed off. When I didn't show up to meet him on the property, that's what he did.
Fine. So forget the vehicles. And you were notified immediately that they were impounded. You could have gone over immediately, paid whatever minimal fine there was for towing, and gotten your cars. All right. What's next? Boats. Tell me about the boats.
Well, one boat wasn't on a trailer that Don drug out and left in the middle of the gravel road for whoever wanted to take it or come get it.
And when did he do that, sir?
Probably 2 or 3 weeks after the vehicles were removed, he had to get the boat off.
And what date were the vehicles removed?
I would say probably September 15th.
Where were you between March and September?
Living 10 blocks away.
So why didn't you go to small claims court in April and say, I want my boats? Why didn't you do that? You waited a year and a half later?
Well, probably because I didn't see any reason to have to do that. My property should have been given to me. You know, if Don had an order to remove it from the property, he should have removed it and put it 150 feet away from the home. He was aware of the restraining order. He was aware I couldn't come on the property, and there was nothing there worth going to jail over.
Are you divorced now?
Yes, we are.
Did your judgment of divorce address the boat?
The judgment of the divorce addressed whatever vehicles were in our possession, which obviously no vehicles were in my possession at that time.
Well, why didn't you raise the issue before the judge who handled your divorce and say, I have a boat?
They went ahead and went ahead with the divorce when I wasn't present.
You defaulted. You were served. You served and you chose not to appear.
I suppose so.
Okay. What else?
Tools and materials, which on June 25th of this last year, the shed was torn down and they were disposed of.
We had from March of 2000 to June of 2001. So where were you? And say, I need my tools.
I was living in Clackamas County with a no-contact order with the victim and a no-contact order with Mr. Lund.
Now, do you still have a no-contact order?
There's still a no-contact order
So
with
you have the
both of them.
same no-contact order that you had in March of 2000.
No, there wasn't one in March of 2000.
April of 2000.
There wasn't one in
May
April.
of 2000.
It's October.
October. So between March and October, there wasn't a restraining order.
No, and I tried like hell to get my stuff.
You found your way to small claims court now. You know how to do that.
I was not aware that I could go to small claims court. Being the divorce was not final, the divorce had not been filed. None of the property should have been removed, disposed of, or sold until our divorce was final. Point of the matter is the property was destroyed, the property was vandalized, and the property was disposed of before our divorce.
Then, sir, you should have addressed that in your divorce.
Okay?
You should have said, I don't have my cars, I don't have my share of my boats, I don't have my tools, and then it's all resolved.
You think it's right that somebody disposes of somebody's property and everything that they've worked hard for their whole life and never so much as give them one item just to spite them?
Well, sir, what I think is that when you're going through a divorce, you're supposed to be vigilant about obtaining property that is important to you. And what I'm saying to you is you don't wait 2 years and then say, we never mentioned this property in my divorce because I chose not to appear, so now I want $5,000 from you for all the things that you didn't take good care of that belong to me.
I might be wrong on the timeline, the amount of time I waited, but I'm not wrong for requesting being compensated by the person that disposed of all my property. Landlord-Tenant Act says Mr. Lund cannot dispose of my property without giving me
He
written
didn't dispose of any of your property, sir? He didn't dispose of any of your property. He got your cars off of his property. And the fact that they were not 150 feet away, so you say he enabled you to go over and get them.
I think that's vindictive.
It may be. That's what divorces usually are, vindictive. That's why people have to appear if they have a problem, not say, which is what you did. You said, she wants a divorce, let her get a divorce, and I'll deal with this later.
I did what the law told me to do, have no contact with either victim.
No, sir. There is still a no-contact order. And if there's still a no-contact order, you found your way to the courthouse today. You should have found your way to the courthouse a year and a half ago. Your complaint is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 25 on the calendar in the matter of Ramirez versus Garza.
Thanks, Bert.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Miss Ramirez, is it Ramirez?
Yes.
I'd like you to sit down, sir.
Thank you.
You and the defendant have 2 children together.
Yes.
Were you ever married?
No.
But you are now married to this gentleman.
Yes.
Your claim is that because of false charges that Mr. Garza filed against you, you were forced to incur substantial legal fees and debts. False charges with regard to child abuse. He filed those complaints with Child Protective Services. And you want him to reimburse you for all of the expenses that you incurred as a result of these false charges. Is that right?
Correct.
Mr. Garza says that he merely reported what he saw and what his children told him. Right now I'm going to need a time frame. When did you and Mr. Garza separate?
I believe it was in '99.
And how old are your 2 children?
6 and 4.
So they were really tiny. They were a year
Yes.
old and 3 years old.
About 3 years old.
When did you remarry?
December 16th of 2000.
And when was the first report of child abuse?
Back in 2000.
When in 2000?
In August of 2000.
All right, so let me go to Mr. Garza. Mr. Garza, when did you first make a complaint to Child Protective
It
Services?
was back in August 2000.
And what was the nature of that complaint?
Well, pretty much child abuse. My kids were talking about how their stepdad would, slap them or hit them or, in that nature. I have papers here from the Child Protective Services that state
From
that-
August?
From May of 2001.
Well, let me take a look at it, please.
I also have police reports here and medical reports.
I see various letters. In some of the letters it says that they determined back in May of 2001 that the family, that is your family, does require our service at this time. I don't know whether they spoke to the children or not. So what you're telling me is in August, one of your children, probably the older one, was telling me that they were hit, but hit by the stepfather. And you reported that.
Yes.
What was the next report?
Well, after that, my youngest son, Isaiah, he came over and he went to the bathroom, and when he was urinating, he has a habit of he'll drop his pants down to his knees, and I noticed some bruises on his buttocks. And he had said that some ants had bit him. He was afraid to say it, so he had said that some ants had bit him. Finally, he came out and said that, yeah, that stepdad had, hit him with the black sandal, There was some bruises on there.
And did you make a report at that time?
Yes,
I have a report.
Medical reports from that, from the physician that saw him.
Can I see the report, please?
Yes.
Now you can stand up, Mr. Ramirez. Well, this second report was called in by the hospital, according to the doctor's notes, because the doctor found bruising noted to both buttocks on the child. Okay. Mr. Ramirez, did you, back sometime in 2001, hit one of the children, the older child, on the behind?
Isaiah, the smallest children, he was going through a lot of problems at daycare concerning when he would come back from his father's house. We tried disciplining him with timeouts, taking toys away from him, name it. It got to the point where we couldn't take it anymore. They didn't want him at the daycare. Took him home. I spoke to him. I spanked him. Next thing you know, I'm getting arrested because his father put charges on me. I got a paper here stating that...
No, I'm not finished yet. You spoke to him, and how old was he at the time?
He was three.
Three. So he was 3 years old.
The daycare was getting ready to kick him out because they didn't want him there anymore.
I'm speaking. He was 3 years old. So you spanked him.
Yeah.
With what?
With a belt, ma'am.
With a belt?
Yes, ma'am.
On his buttocks?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have to attend any classes, Mr. Ramirez, as a result of this investigation?
No, we had a homemaker come and give us parenting classes.
Well, that's parenting classes. So you had to have services as a result?
Yes, ma'am, but from an hour and a half classes, it dropped down to 20 hours because the homemaker found it wasn't necessary, that we didn't need those classes.
Well, you do need the classes. If you think that it's appropriate to beat a 3-year-old with a belt, causing bruises sufficient to be noted by a hospital, then you need a lot of parenting classes, more than an hour and a half. 3-year-old child who was going through a state of mother, father, new father, visiting one, there's a certain amount of acting out behavior. What you don't do is you don't use an instrument ever on a child. Ever. You used a belt on a 3-year-old. That is unacceptable. Period. End of discussion. It's unacceptable.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Listen to me very carefully. Your husband just admitted he beat your 3-year-old with a belt. He abused him.
Spanked, not abused.
Beat. Abused. You should have taken the belt and wrapped it around his neck.
And later today...
Miss Jones, you were trying to get over on the system, madam.
No,
That's
I wasn't trying to get over on the system, Judge Judy, because when I called there, they told me, don't bring the ticket yourself, but we're going to take the money.
I wish you had the name of that person who told you that. I think that you probably ought to sue them.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Ramirez says the father of her children, Eloy Garza, falsely accused her of child abuse. Eloy says Veronica's husband, Juan, hit his son.
Ms. Ramirez, I don't have to go through this whole case anymore. I have just solved this whole case. You are suing for filing false charges against you. False charges of
Actually, the
abuse?
false charges and the custody hearing that we actually went through for the past 2 years.
Well, why do you think you would be entitled to legal fees from him for a custody hearing?
He sued me for custody of the children because of that incident.
Yes.
We went through about 2 years of a custody battle. It got to the point to where he decided he didn't want custody of the children anymore.
So?
He wanted me to agree not to move out of the city we were living in, and he wouldn't fight for custody. He wanted a social study done. We had the social study done. The lady came to the house. She did interviews on both of us. She did interviews on the children. In the social study that I have with me, she states that he seems lovable with the children. The children are lovable with him. She didn't see any problems with the family together. She felt that the children should stay living with me.
So?
We went to court. He had moved to Corpus because he was living in Corpus already working. He was away from us about 3 months. He put temporary orders on us not to leave the county. The judge spoke to the children to see whether they felt safe enough to move out of town with me to Corpus with him, or if they wanted to stay in Harlingen with their biological father. The children stated to the judge that they wanted to leave to Corpus with us.
Let me explain something to you. I don't know who this judge was who interviews a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old to make a determination as to where they want to live. I never did that with a 4-year-old. Where would you like to live? With your mommy or with your daddy?
We also have him right here. He states that he has evidence that there was abuse.
There was abuse.
When?
Period. There was abuse. I'm finding right here that there was abuse. And you have no case to sue him for filing false allegations of abuse. Your husband abused your 3-year-old. You should have taken the belt and wrapped it around his neck. That's what you should have done. And I don't know what other issues the defendant has with you. However, any father who would not at that point fight for custody would be neglectful. So he had an absolute obligation to file for custody of his 2 children. And then the thing dragged along for 2 years because this judge had to wait until the kids were 4 and 6 in order to interview them.
No, it didn't drag on that long. It dragged on that long because he kept putting it off.
Maybe. But I don't care what the social worker said. I want to tell you something. I don't care what the social worker said. It is irrelevant to me. The mother's husband beat the children, but the children seem happy and safe with the mother. Father never beat the children, so we think that the children should stay. We think the children should stay with the mother. I mean, I don't understand a report like that. In any event, I'm not having to decide that case now. All I have to decide is whether or not he should be responsible for the cost of all of your legal fees as a result of fighting both his custody case and the case that he filed and the orders that he requested, preventing you from moving out of the jurisdiction, relocating.
I also have a letter here from the police department where they took the children to the police department, and the police even put in here where they were trying to bribe the children to tell the police that they were being slapped.
Listen to me very carefully. Your husband just admitted he beat your 3-year-old with a belt. What do I care about the police report? Your husband looked at me. I asked him a question. He answered my question. He beat your 3-year-old with a belt. He abused him.
I spanked him, not abused him.
Beat. Abused. 3-year-old, belt, abuse. That's it. Marks from a belt on a 3-year-old is abuse. That's not neglectful. That's not neglectful. Neglectful is if you don't give them a hot lunch. Neglectful is not when you beat a 3-year-old with an instrument. So you are not entitled to the return of any of your legal fees matter.
In the Penal Code, Section 961 states that the state declines prosecution in this case. The defendant is allowed to use forceful to reasonably discipline a child under Section 9.61 of the Penal Code, and there is insufficient evidence to show any other intent by the defendant.
That's I hope you feel better. If you appeared before me and you said to me, I lost my temper once, and I hit him with a belt.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Wait, that's not what you're saying.
No, you asked me.
No. I lost my temper once, and I hit him with a belt, and it will never happen again because that's not me. I know that's not the way you're supposed to discipline children. But what you just read to me, sir, was an indication that you believe that this is an appropriate way of disciplining children.
No, it's not, ma'am.
It better not be.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today...
Let me tell you something. You're not going to get the money from him. Why? He signed me a promissory note stating...
I don't care if he signed you the Declaration of Independence. Courts do not help you when you try to scam the system.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Veronica Ramirez says the father of her children, Eloy Garza, falsely accused her of child abuse. Eloy says Veronica's husband, Juan, hit his son.
Ms. Ramirez, you have no case. The defendant did exactly what he should have done as a father by reporting what he saw. He did exactly what he should have done as a father by fighting for custody. He did exactly what he should have done by trying to prevent you from leaving the jurisdiction and relocating. And if he lost on all those counts, that's very unfortunate. But he had not only the right, but the obligation to do it. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I don't think it went right.
Worked out good, I guess.
His false police reports, taking the children to the police department, filing false reports. I have all of that documented, all the false reports that he made.
Nothing else better to do, I guess.
I even have the reports where the police say that they were trying to bribe the children by telling them they would give them things if they said this.
As soon as I saw, bruises going on, I knew I had to get in and do something.
My children see him as their father.
They're little, 3 and 5,
So that shows what type of biological father their father really is.
He's never around.
No, I've been involved with their lives all the time.
I might have used excessive force, which I regret doing it.
Let the real parents do the discipline, not the step parents.
Be careful who you get involved with.
Go back to my country club and eat a po' boy sandwich.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Berrios versus Rivera, step forward, please. Yeah, this is case number 456 on the calendar in the matter of Wells versus Howells. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Wells, according to what I've read, sir, you and the defendant had a glorious 11-year relationship. Sometimes on, sometimes off. Now it's off. It's over. But about 2 years ago, when it was over, it is your claim that Miss Howells, while you were incarcerated on some kind of domestic dispute, she stole all of your personal property. So that's the first part of your lawsuit, that you want your personal property from 2 years ago.
Yes.
Then, more recently, in 2002, you got back together again. And you claim that you proposed marriage, and you gave her a ring. And then a month or so later, the relationship ended for good, so you want the ring back.
Yes.
Miss Howells says that she deserves the ring. She doesn't even address the stuff, but she says she deserves the ring after 11 years of being with you. And she's counterclaiming because she says in November, which is the date of the final breakup, that you assaulted her, and she wants to be compensated for her pain and suffering, whatever medical bill she has. So I'm not going to get into what you say Miss Howells took 2 years ago, and I'm going to tell you why, sir. Have you been incarcerated for the last 2 years?
No.
Then would you like to tell me why you did not pursue this matter for 2 years?
Well, Your Honor.
I know who I am, so just tell me why.
The reason why is because we have been together and on and off so many times that I've lost count, and these things that I want are things that I bought with my own money. I've paid Ms. Howells numerous amounts of cash and dining and trips to Mexico, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and I've been slapped in the face, and I'd like to have my things back.
Well, you should have been more vigilant, Mr. Wells. Courts are set up to deal with divorces. They're not set up to deal with almost marrieds, almost togethers, 11-year relationships that don't pan out. You had 2 years in which to act, you didn't. But I'm going to get to the ring for a second. Where's the ring, Miss Howells?
The ring I returned to Costco in Medford, Oregon, and gave them a picture of the attack of my right arm, and they returned the money to me.
How much money did they return?
$1,099.
That's what you owe him. $1,099. Is that what you paid for the ring, Mr. Wells?
Yes.
An engagement ring is given in anticipation of getting married. You didn't get married, you don't keep the ring or the value thereof because you returned the ring. You don't keep the cash because you feel as if you deserve it. You don't. If you're foolish enough to live with somebody who abuses you and who makes your life miserable, that's your problem. You don't get to keep the ring. So you get $1,099, sir, on your complaint.
Okay.
Now we're going to get to your counterclaim. I want you to tell me what happened in November when you claimed that Mr. Wells assaulted you.
Okay, Mr. Wells and I, being he was having some behavior problems, I was going to drive us to a Christian marriage counseling. It was a 2-day seminar. We tried to find the place where it was going to take place and could not find it. So we decided to just go to dinner and, and forget about it. So we went to dinner, had a couple drinks, and then on the way home, we stopped at this nightclub. It's a steakhouse nightclub. He started verbally accusing me things of looking at some guy in the bar and things like that, starting a fight. And I was having a good time. And anyway, so we get to my home, and, it escalated. So we get out of the car, go in the house, and he all of a sudden just turned into a totally different person and told me that, called me some names, and then he told me he was going to kick that TV in, the big screen TV, and he was going to slap me in my face, and he was going to walk out the door and get a taxi and go home. Well, he didn't have any money. So he grabbed my phone and proceeded out the door with it. I said, "Give me my phone back." Anyway, he slammed it down on the cement. I said, "Scott, calm down." He came back inside my home, and he just was out of control. I said, I will give you the money to take a taxi, you know, if that's your big, you know, thing. I go, why can't you just get along with me and we can just, you know, work this out? You know, why do you have to be like this? And anyway, he grabbed my purse at one time, ran to the door, and then I ran after him and got my purse away because I had some money in it. We kind of backed up. I kind of backed to my kitchen counter, and I just, something in my heart told me I just better make it to the door and scream because of the way he was carrying on and going out of his mind. And anyway, so I ran to the door, got the door open. I opened the door with my right hand, and he immediately, and I got to scream out for help, and he immediately grabbed my right arm, it's really hard, and he covered up my mouth, dragged me to my office. It's a second bedroom I use for my office. He dragged me in there and told me the police are going to come, oh, you know, and how much he loved me, and oh, he just carried on, you know, please, you know, tell him I left, you know, because actually when he grabbed me on my arm and grabbed me around my face, I thought he was going to kill me.
Okay, so he grabbed you by the arm, put his hands across your mouth and said, please don't scream because the police are going to come. Tell them I'm not here.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so then the police came, and anyway, he hid in my closet, and they pulled him out of the closet, but he had put something in one of my shoes.
What did he put in one of your shoes?
I have the police report, Your Honor.
What did he put in your shoe?
Meth, drugs.
Drugs. So who was arrested?
He was arrested.
What about
I didn't press charges.
What about you?
No, I went in and did a urinalysis in my bathroom. They gave me the cup, and I'm clean. You know,
What about him?
No, they took him to jail.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm not a drug user.
So this was an isolated instance?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, right.
And later today,
Your Honor, she knew I was going in the hallway.
That doesn't mean anything if she knew you were going in the hallway, Miss Davis.
Yes, Your Honor. This is how it was.
No, it wasn't. Stop making it up as you're going along.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Charles Scott Wells says ex-fiancée Linda Howells owes for the return of property and an engagement ring. Linda says he bought the ring at Costco and she returned it.
All right, Mr. Wells, let's hear your version of the events of the 3rd of November, 2002.
Well, I call this the abuse of the legal system, and here's why. Ms. Howells had made a statement to her neighbor, if I'm murdered, then it's my boyfriend who did it. Well, that was early in the afternoon. Ms. Howells picks me up that evening, takes me out to dinner, takes me back to her house, goes outside, screams help, I get arrested. That's the short version of it. I mean, that's just one incident. And I've got proof right here.
I'd like to see it.
Also, Ms. Howells is sue crazy. She's got 7 lawsuits going. Here's one that's just recent, a whiplash case. That,
Shh, I'm not interested in a whiplash case. Let me see proof, sir.
This from here in the second page.
Why were you hiding in the closet?
The reason I was hiding in the closet is because of an incident that happened 2 years ago that was similar to this, where she had called the police, had me arrested, said that I had threatened her. I went to jail, and that's when I lost my belongings out of my house.
So is that why you were hiding? What about the drugs?
The drugs, I don't do drugs now as isolated incidents.
Just a second. What were the drugs doing in her shoe?
I had put them there.
Why?
Because when Miss Howells opened the door for the police, she said, he's hiding in the closet.
Well, what were you doing walking around with the drugs?
I was on my way.
Methamphetamine. What were you doing walking around with?
It was a foolish mistake, Your Honor. I mean, it was something I am very embarrassed about.
What did you plan to do with it, sir?
Pardon?
I mean, were you going to frame it?
I was going to snort it.
Had you snorted any of it before?
In the past?
Yes.
No, I'm not a drug user. It's
so this was an isolated instance?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, right. Were you given a urine test when you got to the precinct?
Yes.
Is it negative or positive?
I'm not sure what the results were.
Really? All right. Let me see your injuries, please.
Okay. And here's a copy of the police report, what happened. And then there's that on my arm. And then the incident of it was actually a year prior, November 23rd, 2001.
I'm not interested in what happened the year before. I'm not interested in his property that happened the year before. I'm not interested.
Okay.
Oh, this is a bad bruise.
Very bad. And I had a 5-hour shoulder surgery in 1997 on my shoulder.
Oh, please. I'm not interested in the year of the flood, madam.
And Your Honor,
Well,
there was no...
No, Your Honor, it caused me paralysis, his grabbing me. I
Okay,
have no
right
damage.
now you look just fine, but he gave you a nasty bruise.
There was no report of that when the incident happened with the police. This is all
Because I didn't
fabricated.
press charges. I tried to protect you.
You admitted to the police, sir, that you last snorted the meth earlier that evening.
Yes, I did. Your Honor, I went down the wrong path there. And
Fine, well then what you
know.
did, sir, you went down the wrong path, and what happened is...
But the drugs have not...
No, listen to me. You went down the wrong path, sir, and what happened when you go down the wrong path and you snort drugs earlier in the evening, your behavior changes.
Mm-hmm.
Even your memory of events change. Because what you told me happened was that she set you up that night.
She did.
That she came to take you to dinner, and she drove you home to her house, and then she ran outside and screamed for the police so that she could have you arrested. If that's really what you think, I feel sorry for you. If that's what you want me to believe, I feel sorry for me. Because it's not what happened, sir.
Well, Your Honor,
What happened is you got into an argument with her. You were behaving irrationally. You were a little bit sweaty. I don't know what your circumstance is as we stand here today, and I'm certainly not going to ask you. But I will tell you that night, you were acting a little bit irrationally. She went outside and screamed for somebody to call the police. And you got busted, and you got busted for either a disturbance at her home and or the drug possession. You probably pled guilty to the drug possession. Is that a fair statement?
Well, Miss Howells was arrested for marijuana that evening.
Did you?
And she was partying with me.
Did you plead guilty to the drug possession?
Yes, I did.
So that's over.
Yeah.
So that part
I haven't tried
that part is over with. As part of what happened in the course of that evening, sir, you bruised her very badly. Because you didn't want to get... Oh, yeah, you did.
That picture could be from anything. If she was injured, wouldn't she have told the police that night when I was arrested?
A black and blue mark like that doesn't come out 2 seconds later. It comes out, that's what happened. You grabbed her inside. You mean you didn't punch her? She didn't say, he punched me, he kicked me in the back, he threatened to stab me. He said you grabbed her by the arm, which you did, in order to take her inside to shut her up. You were acting irrationally. I don't think that she was seriously injured that night. I don't believe that. But I believe she was injured sufficiently enough to cost you $1,099, which is the cost of the engagement ring. So your claim is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I feel like this is a defeat for men that have women abusing the legal system to get material things from men.
He makes up stories, and he actually believes them.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Doss versus Harold. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Jennifer Doss is suing her former best friend, 18-year-old student Nicole Harold, for unpaid rent, damage to her car, and for ruining a pair of slacks.
Ms. Doss, the defendant is or was a friend of yours, and your claim has 3 parts to it. First, it is your claim that she owes you for rent. She moved in with you and your family, and according to you, agreed to pay your mother some rent. She didn't pay your mother rent, you paid your mother, and therefore you want her to repay you. So far correct?
Yes.
Number 2, you claim that she set fire to the inside of your car with a cigarette and damaged it. You wanted to pay for that. And number 3, you say that she borrowed some clothes of yours, a pair of jeans, and destroyed them, damaged them by cutting off the bottoms, and you wanted to replace the jeans.
They're not jeans, they're dress pants.
Pants. The defendant says you burned the car yourself, or somebody else did. She didn't do it. There was never an agreement for rent, and your pants don't fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why did you move into her house?
I was having family problems at my aunt's house, and I guess I was with her. We were at Firestone Park, this park we were at.
Don't go into all, so I don't care where you were at.
Okay.
You were having family problems at home, and she invited you to come and live with her?
Yeah, she said it would be okay for me to stay.
Okay.
And there was never no agreement. Her mom said if I had a job to help around, like help out, if I had a job.
When you moved, listen to me. Why don't you let me ask questions? When you moved in with her, were you working?
No.
Is that right?
Yes.
So how did you expect her to pay rent?
Well, me and my mom tried several times. We went and put in applications. Me and Nicole both, we went together.
Could you keep your voice up? You went to put in applications for what?
Well, we went to Rubbermaid and...
To find a job?
Yes.
But at the time she moved in with you, she had no job.
Yes.
So how did you expect her to pay rent?
We were going to get a job.
But she didn't get a job.
No.
Good. So there's no rent. You think that I believe that you gave your mother rent for her? You think I believe that? That's what you say in your complaint. Is that what you're going to tell me here in court, that you gave your mother rent for her?
Yes, I did.
I don't believe you. How's that? Next thing is your car. Tell me about your car.
Well, me and Nicole went up to Chapel Hill Mall, and she was smoking, and we met up with one of her friends, and she asked me if I wanted to go over to their house. I said fine, because we weren't doing nothing at the time. We were just driving around. And when we pulled up in front of their house, she went to put her cigarette out on a Taco Bell cup, and she dropped her cigarette, and it went under the seat. And she told me that she put it out, and when I turned on my dome light, there was smoke coming out from under my seat, and I started yelling at Nicole, and she still insisted that she put it out. And then when I reached my hand under the seat, I found the cigarette, and I had burn holes in my seat and on my floor.
And what about on your hand?
No, I didn't have them on my hand.
But was the cigarette out or not?
It was a little bit out, but by the time I found it, it was out.
And let me see the damage to your car.
And there was also a time where she burnt the ceiling because she didn't roll down the window far enough to flick it out, and I also have pictures of that too.
What is this, on the seat?
Yes, on the bottom of the seat.
Underneath?
Yes.
Can you see it when you look at the car?
No.
And what about this?
That's the ceiling.
Okay. So you can't see the cigarette hole when you look at your car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, you fill up under the seat and you can feel it.
Did you fix it?
No, I have not yet.
Are you going to fix it?
Yes, I am.
Why?
Because I just bought my car 4 months before that happened, and I'm trying to trade it in so I don't have all these.
Well, maybe if you don't tell anybody, they won't know that there's a little hole underneath the seat where you have to put your hand.
Well, the dealership already knows about it.
Who told them?
I did, because I wanted to get it fixed.
Did you put out a cigarette in her car?
I put it at the top on accident. The top I did. The little burn
So
hole.
this you did?
Yeah, one. There's like a lot of them, but I did one.
There were a lot of them. From where?
From the back seat when she had like tons of people in the back and smoking. She like crowded people in her back seat.
Is that true?
I have a paper right here. It said that there was no other burn holes found when the guy inspected my car.
It was under the seat.
He
There's people in
inspected the
back
whole
and it
car.
fell.
So the answer is you did burn a hole in her car. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, not the ground, not the seat.
Just this?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Shouldn't let people smoke in your car. All right, let's talk about the pants. Did you borrow her pants? Don't tell me I don't want to hear I can tell when you're telling me the truth. I can tell when you're lying. So I don't care what you wrote in your answer.
Okay.
Forget about that. Did you borrow her pants?
Yes, I borrowed them.
All right, now, that's good. Not your cousin, you borrowed her pants. And did you cut her pants?
No, my cousin Jamie did.
But
And I
you
told her.
borrowed them.
Yeah. So
Then
did
you're
Jamie.
responsible.
She borrowed it too, Jamie, when we were all going to the club. And I told her the next day that Jamie cut them, and she said, I don't know, she said something to Jamie.
Explain that to me.
All right.
You borrowed the
Yeah.
pants?
Yeah, I borrowed them once.
And then you returned them to her?
I was living with her.
You returned them to her?
Yeah, but it wasn't cut up yet.
When did your cousin borrow them?
Yeah. When we
Oh, God, give me strength. Not yeah. When requires a date.
It was after I wore them. Because when she first
Who
got
did
it.
she borrow them from?
Her.
Is that right?
Jamie never wore these. She had a different outfit of mine on.
Did she ever borrow them from you?
Nicole did, but Jamie did not.
Really?
Yes.
Let me see the bottom.
They're cut up over on this side, and right here.
Now, you understand that in your answer you said to me that you never borrowed her pants because her pants wouldn't fit you.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a So that was a lie. Is that right?
Right.
You both lie. How could you both lie? Why would you both lie in court? Isn't that a stupid thing? You didn't pay your mother any rent, and you in fact did borrow her pants, and you did cause some damage to her car. You should be responsible for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
Okay, good. How many people smoked in your car within the last month?
None. There has not been no smoking in my car since Nicole burnt the bottom of my seat.
Then let's say prior to Nicole burning the hole in your car. How many people smoked in your car?
Maybe about 3 or 4, not that many.
3 or 4 is a lot of people. I thought you told me in your complaint that you had a no-smoking car.
I do, but I told everybody that smoked in my car, if they can smoke responsibly, they can smoke in my car. But if they can't, I don't want them smoking in my car.
That's fine. Can I see those pants, please? Tell me about why you moved out.
Me and her got in an argument, and
What'd you get into an argument about?
Guys or something. Like, we were at her boyfriend's house, and ever since then, we weren't talking anymore.
So you moved back home?
Yeah.
All right. How much did you pay for these pants?
So they were $42 for the whole outfit. I have a letter from the place where I got them from.
Can I see that card, please? When did you buy them?
Probably about a year ago.
Did you ever wear them?
Yes, I have.
How many times did you wear them?
Maybe twice.
Okay. And they were $42. I'm giving you $300 for the hole in your car and $42 for the pants. You got nothing for the rent because that was a fib. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $342.
Number 79 on the calendar in the matter of Gibbs versus Thompson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Gibbs, the defendant's daughter, I assume this young lady.
Yes.
Is a babysitter for you.
Briefly, yes.
And your lawsuit wants her parents to pay for the following, because she's a minor.
Correct.
She ran up a phone bill from your house?
Mm-hmm.
So you want them to pay for the phone bill?
Correct.
And you want a return of the money that you paid her for babysitting?
Yes.
Because you say she was not a good babysitter.
Not exactly because she wasn't a good one, but more or less she was not attending to them.
Okay, that's your lawsuit. The Thompsons have a counterclaim, and the Thompsons want you to pay more for babysitting, because they say that you owe their daughter for babysitting. And they say that they also want punitive damages because they say that you were a bad influence on their daughter, which they will explain to me. So let's see where we can fix some responsibility here. What is your first name?
Clarissa.
When did Clarissa start to babysit for you?
Early February. I probably have an exact date in my calendar. Yeah, early February, like around the 9th, I believe, is the first time she babysat for me.
And how did you find her?
They lived above me in the apartment complex and had talked about babysitting and asked her to come over a few times prior to that.
Who did you talk to?
Clarissa.
Directly?
Yes.
So that all the arrangements that you made were with Clarissa?
Yes, ma'am.
And you arranged a fee?
Yes. After about a week or so, we decided that I would just go ahead and give her $30 a week because I was using her for an hour here, an hour there during the week.
So far, Clarissa, is that correct, that she was going to pay you $30 a week?
No, it is not.
Well, what was she supposed to pay you?
Well, she agreed to pay me $20 every time I babysat for her, which led to almost every day.
Really? $20 a day, even if you only babysat for an hour?
It was more than an hour. I would stay overnight sometimes because she would come home so late.
So starting the beginning of February, she started to babysit for you?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that right, Clarissa?
Yes, I started February 12th, actually.
Okay. Did she babysit for you in March?
Yes, she did.
Is that right, Clarissa?
Yes.
And you got paid?
Not really. She only paid me like once, and that was $60.
In all the time that you babysat for her?
Only $60.
Really?
Yes.
What about April? Did she babysit for you?
No, ma'am. I received my first phone bill on March 24th.
And that's when you stopped the babysitting?
Actually, I had stopped babysitting about a week prior to that. I had come home and my 2-year-old had burned a popsicle stick on the stove. He said he was cooking it.
Okay. And how many weeks in total had she babysat for you?
Approximately 4 or 5.
How many weeks?
6.
Let's go through your book and figure out exactly how many weeks she babysat for you.
Would you like the book?
Yeah.
I didn't write down always when she babysat. I know I have the first few times written down.
She babysat every week for you after you hired her. She babysat for you for 5 weeks. Now, according to you, you were supposed to pay her $30 a week.
February 22nd was the first time I gave her $30. So I would imagine it would have been the first part of that week that we had made that agreement.
Well, then it's 4 weeks.
Okay, so
4
it's about a
weeks
week.
times 30 is $120. Now, how much had you actually paid her?
I've actually paid $140 because of the time prior to that.
So according to your records, you're all paid up.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, tell me about the phone bill.
Clarissa would use the phone when she babysat, and from the very beginning I told her I did not have a problem with her using the phone. not to make long distance calls. I'm a single mother. I don't have means to pay for long distance. I don't use long distance myself. I received my first bill on March 24th, I believe it was, that I put on there. And the long distance charges for that month were $308.40.
Who were you calling, Clarissa?
It was an ex-boyfriend of mine at the time.
Did you know that that was the wrong thing to do?
When I first started babysitting for her, she told me that I had all privileges of the phone. She never told me not to make long distance calls.
Well, did you make those long distance calls in your own house?
Sometimes.
What do you mean sometimes?
Well,
did you ever get a phone bill for $300 a month?
No, ma'am.
No, of course not. Don't fool around with me, Clarissa. Don't fool around with me. Okay, so that's $308. Was that the total phone bill?
No, then I received one in mid-April for $31 in long distance, $87 in collect calls, and...
Was the boyfriend making collect calls to you?
No, he always called me direct.
So nobody called you collect?
No.
Does this have the number of the...
Yes, it does.
Is it the same number that she
No,
called?
ma'am, it's not. It's a Fresno number. And I asked Clarissa, have you been accepting collect calls from this number? And she says, no, I haven't. No, I haven't. And I have here $85 in collect calls. There's...
Well, she says she doesn't know whose those are. But it really doesn't make any difference.
They're not mine.
Let's say they're Clarissa's. Why should her parents be responsible for that?
Because she's a minor.
No, you're responsible for it. And I'm going to tell you why you're responsible for it. Because you have a mechanism where you can put on your phone a block so that you can't make long-distance calls.
I've never had a need for that.
I
make long-distance occasionally.
Let me explain something to you. Your business arrangement was never with Clarissa's parents. Your business arrangement was with Clarissa. And if you want to ensure that things in your house are not abused, you have to take steps to do that. Her parents can't come into your house and do that. You have to do that. They are not responsible for the long-distance call made by their daughter in your house. You're responsible. You have to be prudent and vigilant, make sure that the phone isn't used, put the phone away, lock up the phone, disconnect the phone, do whatever you want to do with it. But there is no way that you are going to hold the Thompsons responsible for her calls that she made.
I had
not going to happen.
the agreement with her mother at one time, though, Your Honor.
I don't care whether you discussed an agreement with her mother or not. They're not responsible. You're responsible because they have no ability to see to it that in your house the phone isn't abused. They know how to do it in their house because her mother wouldn't tolerate it. Right?
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You think you're entitled to more money?
Well, yes.
Really? How much do you think she owes you?
Well, see...
Give me an idea.
I say about over 600.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robbie Gibbs says former babysitter 16-year-old Clarissa Thompson ran up her phone bill with long-distance phone calls. Clarissa says Robbie still owes her money.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, he would call her directly when I was there.
So?
So I never had any clue that she was calling him or making
Neither
collect
did her
calls.
mother. Neither did her mother. You want to take care of your phone? Lock it in your drawer. It's not a mother's fault. And you'll know better next time. You hire a babysitter, you take out the phone. Or you put a block on it. You say you can't make long-distance calls. That's it. It's not legally responsible. And I can't find that her parents are responsible because you have the responsibility of ensuring that when you hire a teenage babysitter and you know that they sit on the phone and they can sit on the phone for hours, you make sure that they can't get to your phone. All right. Now, you want to tell me why you think you're entitled to any money back from the money that you paid her for babysitting?
Because she wasn't babysitting. She would go in my room and shut the door and use the phone. I came home on an occasion when that happened.
When was the first time you came home and
it
found
was
her?
About 2 weeks before I had her quit babysitting, and I told her she was not welcome at my home anymore. Her mother came down. We talked about it. Her mother assured me that it would not happen again. The following week is when I came home and my son had been burning a popsicle stick.
So? Then you fired her.
And then I fired her. Yes.
So why do you think you're entitled to anything back?
I just put it in there because I thought that I paid her for services that were not rendered.
You should have been more vigilant. If I came home and found my two babies weren't being cared for by a babysitter, I would say thank you very much. I'm paying you for the day. You're not welcome back here anymore.
Which is what I did.
No.
And then her
you
mother
had a
came down and
conversation
spoke
with her
with me.
mother, and her mother assured you it wasn't going to happen again. Come on. Get real. All right. Now let's get to your counterclaim, if you're serious about it. You think you're entitled to more money?
Well, yes.
Really? Why don't you tell me why you think you're entitled to more money?
Well, because I did babysit for the kids, you know, like, because most of the time she was barely even there. She'd send her oldest son to come get me at 6:30 after she got off work, and then she'd be gone all night.
How much do you think she owes you for babysitting?
Well, see...
Give me an idea.
I say about over 600, but
Really? You think over $600?
Yes.
Really? And you babysat for her each and every week?
Yes.
And you accepted the money she gave you, and you didn't say to her, no, you owe me more than $30 a week. I'm not taking the $30. You came back and you babysat for her again, another week, and then another week, and then another week.
She kept promising me, oh, I have to go to the bank. Oh, I haven't got my check yet, or I haven't cashed it. That's what she had kept telling me. So
I'm just going to sit on the phone and talk to my boyfriend. Forget any more money. Chalk it up to the time that you were sitting on the phone in the bedroom, chewing the fat with the boyfriend. You got me?
Yes.
Perfect. Is there anything else you want to tell me about your counterclaim?
Yes, ma'am. I was suing her for punitive damage because, actually, I don't want to do this.
Smart. Smart. It's her responsibility to take care of her phone. It's your daughter's responsibility to do the right thing if she's babysitting. I'm sure that you've had a chat with her about abusing the privilege of somebody else's phone. I have a feeling you have.
Yes, I have.
Okay. All right, Miss Gibb. Next time, you just be a little more careful, madam. That's all.
Please excuse. You may step out.
I was pretty upset.
I'm very sorry for Mrs. Gibbs, and I hope that she get her life together.
She said that she had permission. Her parents said, no, you didn't have permission.
They both played on the telephone.
Not to let teenagers babysit anymore.
Not to babysit for people like her again.
And now the next case.
All parties in B. Miller versus Stewart. Step forward, please.
Linda and William B. Miller are suing their former friend, social worker Peggy Stewart, for an unpaid loan. Peggy claims she never borrowed any money.
Mr. and Mrs. Beamler, it is your claim that you made 2 loans to the defendant, totaling in excess of $10,000. These loans were made some 2 years ago. One was a cash loan, well, not a cash loan, but a money loan in the amount of $6,000. And then, according to you, you paid 2 mortgage payments for her in excess of $5,000. Understanding the jurisdictional limitations of this court, you are suing for the maximum here of $5,000. Ms. Stewart says that there was never a loan, that while she did give you some money recently, small amounts, it was not to repay this loan, it was because you fell on some hard times and she was being generous. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So I want you to tell me when you made the $6,000 loan to her and show me proof by way of a check, a money order made out to her for $6,000.
There's a check payment on 10/24/2000 in the amount of $500.
I'm talking about $6,000.
They were 2 separate.
They're all separate checks, Your Honor.
Let me see. Totaling $6,000.
Yes.
Over what period of time?
3 months.
3 months. You endorsed these checks.
Yes, ma'am.
Those were rate break checks from off of a credit card.
You got what I'm saying to you folks? I want to see proof that you gave her a check that she cashed or a check made out to her. I see checks made out to cash that at some point somebody wrote loan Peggy Stewart in the corner.
Those were on there.
Yes, ma'am. She was given cash in the amount of $6,000, and I can explain why they are the way they are.
You can explain all you like, but if she says you never gave her this money, you don't get it back.
Okay,
Yes. Good. Explain it.
She needed cash monies. I went to the bank. Peggy went with me. We went to the counter together. I made them out to cash. I made them out to myself. I endorsed them. I deposited them. I withdrew cash, and I handed it to Peggy.
Did you take the cash?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
That is not true, Your Honor.
What was the amount of the 2 mortgage payments?
$24.99. I'm not
Each
sure.
one?
I'm not sure exactly of the amount. They offered to make those payments in exchange for staying in my guest house at the time. We were living communally.
That's a
at
lie,
the
Your
time.
Honor.
That's a
No,
lie,
it's
Your
not.
Honor. And
They stayed in my guest house because she stated that she was afraid of being alone. They used my utilities. They cooked in my kitchen. They used my food. They wanted to stay with us in our guest
Your
house.
Honor, that's not true.
Just a second. Just a second. That's baloney.
It's not true, Your Honor.
She said that.
Quiet! Now, they made almost $6,000 worth of mortgage payments for you. Did you pay them back?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
Because I didn't feel I owed it. She
Why not?
asked to pay for expenses. She induced me to accept her to pay these things. She didn't want me to go back to work. She wanted a companion at the time.
Are you serious with me?
Yes. I have documentation showing that she has a social phobia or an anxiety disorder. She wanted.
Well, she may have a social phobia and anxiety disorder, madam, but that doesn't mean she's fiscally stupid.
Well,
I mean, she can't prove this loan to me.
yes.
But if they made 2 mortgage payments for you totaling $59.02, and unless you can convince me that that was in lieu of rent or something else because they were staying in your guest house for a couple of months, then you owe them $59.02. Now, I would assume that you initially were going to take this case to a superior court, suing for the entire amount, which you claim is $11,000. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me what happened with that lawsuit.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
We dismissed it because we were incurring too much monies continuously because it kept being continued. And it was kind of like,
we were told that
wasting.
we were spending good money chasing bad, that although we had...
How much money did you spend on that lawsuit?
To this date, $3,500.
That is not including the $3,500 that we owe.
So you spent $7,000 to collect 11. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
We never
Yes.
collected anything.
No, to collect it.
Yes, ma'am.
Pay attention.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Stewart, I assume that you were at some point friends. I read that you were co-workers. Is that right?
Yes, we were. We were co-workers.
And you both had sexual harassment claims
She
against your
lied.
employer.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, she lied, and she was very angry that I refused to testify on her behalf and perjure myself that she was raped by a co-worker whom she worked with and had a consensual relationship.
Listen to me.
Yes.
I would like you to just answer my questions.
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much did you get from this settlement?
I was told I couldn't disclose.
You have a non-disclosure in the...
Yes, I do, Your Honor. It was substantially more than...
I mean, it's in your answer. So I don't know who told you you couldn't disclose it. You disclosed it in your answer.
Oh, well...
It was a 6-figure number.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Okay. You owe them $5,000. My maximum jurisdiction is $5,000. You actually owe them $59.02 for the 2 mortgage payments that they made for you, and that's discounting the $6,000 loan, which they have no proof of. All I can tell you is, folks, if you do make a loan to somebody, don't be a jerk.
Right.
You know, you're supposed to get it in writing. You say, listen, I'd love to give you the money without a writing. Judge Judy Sheindlin says it's foolhardy, even if you're dealing with relatives, to give them money without a writing. That way everybody knows what the parameters are. Do you understand? You especially don't put yourself in a situation where you have checks written out to cash that you cash and want to 2 or 3 years later claim that this was a loan. Do you understand? Fortunately, if you made her mortgage payments and the mortgage checks were made out to her mortgage company, you don't have the same mortgage company, do you?
No.
Okay, that's all. Judge for the...
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Colleen versus Bradford. Step forward, please.
23-year-old bartender Nita Colleen is suing her former friend, 27-year-old furniture refinisher Terrence Bradford, for assaulting her during a night of drinking.
Miss Colleen, how do you know the defendant?
Terrence Bradford was a friend of mine.
What does that mean, a friend of his? Was he a boyfriend?
A friend of mine, just an associate. We lived a block away from each other. If I wasn't working and he wasn't working, we'll call each other, go out.
It's your complaint that he assaulted you for no reason one evening when you were both drinking.
Right.
Mr. Bradford says that you were drunk and you went nuts and he was merely defending himself. So I want you to tell me when this happened, what kind of an assault it was, what your injuries were, and then I have a few other serious questions to ask you.
Okay.
When was it?
It was on September 11th of 2002.
Where were you and what were you doing?
I was in Terrence Bradford's home. We were...
Who else lives in his home?
His mother and I think his stepfather, his father.
Were they home?
His mother was home, yes.
Go ahead. What time of the day?
Around 11, 12 o'clock at night.
Come on, let me hear what happened.
Okay, what happened was... Terrence called me earlier that night. He was like, what you doing? I said, nothing, I'm not doing anything. Well, let's go get some beer that he drinks. Now, this is like some strong beer, and I don't really drink like that. Every time I get with Terrence, I drink with him. And we were drunk that night. We were both drinking. And
in his mother's house?
In his mother's house, yes. And what happened was I couldn't breathe. I was having difficulty breathing. All I remember was...
You were having difficulty breathing from what?
From, I don't know, I just couldn't breathe. I was on the bed. I remember him calling his mother, asking his mother, what's the matter with her? She's not breathing right. She's acting funny. I remember his mother saying that, you know, just get a cold rag or whatever. She's just been drinking a little bit. She'll be all right. Next thing I know, I'm standing in the kitchen with his mother. Then she has a towel to my head. I don't remember getting hit. I got hit 3 times, actually.
You just told me you don't remember getting hit.
No, I don't remember getting hit. But the way that I got hit, I have pictures if you want to see. I sustained a black eye. My nose was busted, and I have a scar on my head from where I got hit, where actually, if he did hit me, he had to have hit me at least a minimum of 3 times.
Maybe you fell off the bed.
No, I did not fall off the bed.
How do you know?
I did not fall off the bed.
Just a minute, Ms. Kaleem. What you're telling me is that you were so drunk that you had no idea how you got bruised on your face. Is that what you're telling me?
I did not say that I was so drunk. We were drinking that night.
Just a second. No, just a second. If somebody hits you 3 times, severely enough to cause injuries, which you're going to show me in a second,
right,
and you don't remember how that happened, but you're surmising that from the photographs it came as a result of being hit 3 times, what you're telling me is that you don't remember being hit. Is that right? And if you don't remember being hit, you don't remember being hit because you were too drunk. You report him to the police?
No, I didn't.
Just a second. Is there any reason why somebody who has, can I have those pictures? Somebody who has this kind of injury that you claim was as a result of getting beaten by him doesn't report this to the police?
His cousin called me 2 days later. Terrence is sorry, please don't press charges on Terrence.
I'm not interested in that, and I'm not even hearing that.
Okay.
It's hearsay, it's meaningless,
Okay.
I don't believe it.
Okay, okay.
You have that witness here today? That person who told you that he was sorry
That's
he
his cousin. I don't talk to anybody.
Listen to me. Do you have that person here today, Miss Kaleem?
No, I don't.
Good, then I'm not interested in what they have to say. Well, this certainly, Bird, do you think, and I want you to just take a look at this, you think that this mark could have happened if you fell off a bed?
It's possible.
Yeah, sure, anything's possible. All right, Mr. Bradford, tell me what happened.
When she came around my house, she was already a little drunk. So I said, let's go to the store get some more beer.
That was a smart thing to do. That was initially a smart thing to do, sir. So she was already a little drunk, and you said, let's go get some more. Is that right? Shh,
Yes, ma'am.
please. How old are you?
27.
The future of America. So she's already drunk. You said, let's go get some more beer, and I assume that you went in her car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what you tell me in your answer. You got in her car. She was already drunk.
Yeah.
And you drove to get some more beer.
Mm-hmm.
Who drove?
I did.
Who drove?
Did I drink? Oh, I forgot. Did you? I don't know. I
See,
did
he's
drive.
lying. He's lying.
Miss Kaleem.
Don't lie
Miss
about it.
Kaleem.
Lying
I don't want to
about
hear you.
everything.
I'm enjoying this,
Lying.
please. Go ahead.
After we got the beer, we went out Huntersville, on my old
You
neighborhood.
went what?
So after we got the beer, we went out Huntersville. It's a neighborhood. I used to stay out there.
What did you do? Just stay in the car and drink, or you went to friends?
No, yeah, went to a friend's house, went to his house.
Okay, so you went to his house and you were drinking. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. We out there. We still drinking out there. After we get finished drinking the 40s, we started drinking some liquor. Then Nita started wilding.
She started what?
Wilding.
What is that?
Acting crazy.
I'm crazy.
Right. That I understand.
So I was telling her to calm down because the security guards out there. They calm down, Nita. They're gonna arrest you. So I threw her in the car, then went back to my house. I told my mom that she was in there breathing heavy. And then we went outside on the porch because I said she needed some air. And then she just snapped. Then I told her, I said, look, just get your stuff and go home.
So you're going to put her in her car, being as drunk as she was, and send her home?
Oh, she started snapping on me for nothing. I don't know why.
Can I say something?
No. Could you finish, please?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you would look like you were taking a nap. Get to how, if you know, she got these marks on her face. Would you tell me, please?
Okay. I threw up against the wall.
Okay.
Then I told her to go home. Then I was walking out the door. Then she threw a bottle at me. I ducked it, then I hit her.
Where did you hit her?
In her face.
Is that the black eye she had?
Yeah.
Now, how'd she get this mark on her forehead?
I hit her on the forehead, too.
Okay, good. And what did she do to you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
She threw the bottle at me.
She threw a bottle at you. What
Yeah.
kind of a bottle did she throw at you?
40 bottle.
Do you have any recollection of that?
Ma'am, no. I never went out on the porch that night. You were drunk. We were in the bedroom. No, we were in the room watching TV and we were drinking. We had just came back from Huntersville that night. I
Miss
agree with
Colleen,
that.
listen to me very carefully. Don't get drunk. How old are you?
22.
You don't get drunk?
23 now.
Don't get drunk.
Okay.
That's the lesson. He got drunk. You got drunk. You don't remember what happened to you. He's honest enough or slow enough to tell me that he hit you 3 times, all right? That's honest. He hit you 3 times because he said you threw a 40 bottle at him. Well, that's really no excuse for hitting you 3 times. Maybe a push to get you away if you're drunk, but he was drunk too.
I mean, he wants to get drunk and be hitting on people for no reason because I couldn't breathe or whatever. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Where is your responsibility in all this? He's an idiot.
I don't have any responsibility
you
in
don't?
any of this. That's
Oh,
what
you
I'm
do?
trying to say.
Oh,
if
listen
we're
to me.
friends and we go out
My
and drink.
mouth is moving, your mouth has to stop. Your responsibility to yourself as an adult is not to get so drunk so that you don't know what you're doing. You do have a responsibility. Because if he did, in fact, assault you and you had no responsibility, then you would have called the police and made a complaint, and he would have been arrested for assault because that's what he did. And the reason that you couldn't do that, even if you had wanted to do that, is because you were so drunk that you have no self-induced. He didn't order you to drink. He didn't compel you to drink. He didn't get you down on the floor and use a funnel and funnel it into your mouth. You went to his house on purpose for the express purpose of drinking. And I believe everything he says that you did arrive at his house already having consumed alcohol.
Okay, can I say one thing?
No.
He called 2 days later.
What part of no didn't you understand?
How is he going to apologize?
What part of no didn't you understand? Because he's stupid and called you to apologize.
He agreed that he was going to pay for my medical bills.
Good, he should pay for your medical bill.
For my one
Good.
day
Just
I
a
missed
second.
from work.
He should pay for your medical bill. Did you agree to pay for a medical bill?
Yes, ma'am. I told
Yes, you did. Good. And what was your medical bill?
$159.
That's what he's going to pay. Judgment for the plaintiff.
He
in the amount of
agreed- no, he agreed to
$159
pay for this, too.
outside.
This case number 322 on the calendar in the matter of Newens versus Newens. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Mr. Newens, when were you and the defendant married?
We were married in June of 1997. Or, excuse me, 1987.
And when were you divorced?
August of 1996.
Do you have children?
We have 4 children.
From 1987 till 1996, in what state did you reside?
From 1987 to 1996, we resided in California and in Wisconsin.
When did you reside in Wisconsin?
From 1992 to the beginning of 1994.
I ask you this because the timeline here is quite important.
Yes.
According to your complaint, after your divorce, you and your former wife were arrested here in California. And you were arrested on outstanding warrants from the state of Wisconsin for welfare fraud. According to you, there was an agreement between you and your former wife that if you paid whatever fines there were in Wisconsin, which amounted to $4,800, she would give you credit for $2,400 towards what you owed her in child support.
Correct.
Now you've been summoned to court, and you've been told by the judge that you have to pay those arrears, which are probably more substantial than $2,400.
Yes, ma'am.
And you said to her, what about the agreement we had, that you would give me credit for half of that? And she said, we don't have an agreement. So you want $2,400, which is her half of what you paid to the state of Wisconsin in order to get rid of all the charges pending against both of you.
Correct.
You were in the state of California when you were arrested, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had an attorney?
No, ma'am.
Who told you that if you paid this $4,800, you wouldn't have to go back to Wisconsin to surrender yourself?
The district attorney of Outagamie County, Wisconsin.
Now, tell me what the welfare fraud was about from 1992 to 1994.
I believe it's for food stamps and medical aid.
How come there was fraud, sir?
I believe there was fraud because we left the state as we were on welfare to move back to California without notifying the welfare department that we were moving.
You were on welfare in Wisconsin.
We were not collecting money, Your Honor. We were collecting food stamps and we were collecting medical.
Benefits. You were collecting welfare benefits.
Yes.
Is that because you were unemployed?
I was unemployed at the time.
Who were you living with?
Nancy and I were renting a house.
Who paid for the rent on the house if you were unemployed?
We paid for the rent on the house.
How?
Because I got a job at installing garage doors. I wasn't employed the whole time. And it wasn't a sufficient amount of money to support the family. That's why we went for aid.
So your wife stayed at home with the children?
She did.
So you're telling me that they sued you for fraud for $4,800 because you left the state and they didn't have to pay you money anymore?
We basically left the state, and instead of tracking us down and figuring out that they wanted all of their benefits back, which totaled the $4,880.
Probably the only person in creation that I know that happens to. Usually they say, wow, they're out there with California's problem now. Now, Mr. Newens, how much do you owe in child support, sir?
$10,000 in child support and $10,000 in alimony.
How come you haven't paid any money?
Well, I've actually paid a lot of money, Your Honor. The reason being is because in the state of California, your ex-wife or whoever's receiving the support can go back at any time and ask for an audit of the payments, which she did. And I had a court order for my employers to pay her directly, which they did, but I had to prove it, and these two employers were no longer in business, so I could not find the record of payments.
So you're telling me that the judgment was entered against you and you have to pay arrears on $20,000 for money that you paid?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a lawyer representing you this time?
No, ma'am. But the litigation went for a whole year. Ma'am, I can't afford a lawyer. I work 60 hours a week to support 4 kids. My ex-wife, since the day we married, has not worked at all and still doesn't to this day. She solely relies on my support to support all 4 kids.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Newens. Now we're going to come to you. He says that you were receiving partial benefits. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Do you have any idea why you were charged with welfare fraud?
It was explained to me when, without notifying the county about our moving, there was a warrant automatically slapped on because there was an outstanding amount that needs to be paid back, like $700 and some odd.
For what?
For overpayment is what they called it.
So you were notified that you were received an overpayment of $700 while you were living in Wisconsin?
Yes.
And you left without paying that amount?
Yes. They were charging us interest and stuff because of penalties on that.
Now, your former husband says that he paid you this money, this $10,000 in child support and $10,000 in alimony. Is that true, that he's paid you this money?
I have, Your Honor, from the month, some partial payments, and for the last month of October, I received...
Look at me. Now you can speak.
Okay, I'm sorry. $29.90 for the month of October, $500 for the month of September, and before that, nothing. Payments are coming, and partial payments, whole payments, every now and then, off and on through the last couple of years.
Did they come right out of his check?
He's self-employed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I would suggest you find yourself some way of earning a living that you enjoy, because otherwise you're going to be relying on him forever. And that's wrong.
And later today,
we had planned to get married, and there was an issue in that I was still married and needed to get a divorce.
That's what Ms. Harris said.
Yeah.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Todd Newen says ex-wife Nancy Newens owes for an unpaid loan for bail after they both were arrested for welfare fraud. Nancy says Todd doesn't pay his child support.
How long have you been self-employed, Mr. Newens?
Roughly 3 years.
So when you say that your employer, what employer are you talking about that you couldn't find?
The court order dates back to 1997. The amount in arrears they're asking for was for 97 and 98.
Just those 2 years?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so this proceeding had nothing to do with current arrears for the year 2000, 2001, 2002. Is that what you're telling me?
What they, I have a court order here that I got from them. What they dated it from 6 of 97 to 10/1 of 02 to make it current.
I asked you a question. The question I asked you was whether you were telling me that the arrears that they were talking about, that you just had a trial on, dealt with monies that you owed. You said from 97 and 98.
Correct.
And I said that they conducted a whole hearing for a year and didn't bring that amount up to the current date for arrears. And you said, Oh, I have the order. And the order says that those were arrears that you owe from 97 to the year 02.
The reason why they did that, Your Honor, is because we were fighting for the last year in court over the amount of arrears. And it was my burden to prove that all my previous employers paid.
All right, forget the previous employees from 97 to 98. She says she has been receiving sporadic payments. Is that true? And now you're self-employed.
Yes, it is true.
Sometimes it's true. All right, that's what I wanted to know.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I'm going to get to it, Mr. Newens. Don't pussyfoot around me. Are you remarried?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. You have children with your new wife?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Well, let's start with August of 2002. How much money did you send to your former wife for child support and alimony in August of 2002?
Your Honor, I don't have that information with me, and the reason why I don't have that information with me is because it's quite irrelevant, because I have an order that you have before you stating the amount I have to pay in arrears of $200 per month.
That's perfect. So what are you bothering me for?
I'm asking for money owed that I can't, that I paid $4,880 for, that I can't get credit through the County of San Bernardino for child support, which had she not agreed to credit me half, I would have never made the payment. We would have flew back to Wisconsin and fought this battle in court.
So then I'm going to resolve it very quickly for you, sir.
Okay.
From 1992 to 1994, according to you, you had 2 young children, and your former wife was unemployed. She was taking care of the children. It was therefore your responsibility, your contractual responsibility with your former wife, to be the provider. You found that you could not be a provider for your wife and your 2 young children, so you were forced to apply to the state for certain benefits. Then you were advised that there was an overpayment of $700. Rather than taking care of that part of your financial responsibility before you left the state of Wisconsin, you decided to leave the state of Wisconsin and move to California. It was because of that that they issued a warrant for the both of you. You paid that amount. That's not for child support. That's not for spousal support. That's to reimburse the state for money that the state expended on behalf of you and your family because you could not fulfill your end of the contractual marital responsibility with your former wife. And in addition to that, you have continued to accrue arrears over the years, the last 3 years when you've been self-employed. Sometimes you pay, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you send a little, sometimes you send a lot. That doesn't excuse you from working at some point. Are you working now?
Yes, I am.
Good. What kind of work do you do?
Right now I do child care. And in the past I was doing dental assisting.
Well, I would suggest you find yourself some way of earning a living that you enjoy.
Exactly.
And if it's not child care, because child care sometimes is a temporary thing that you do when your children are very little, because that's a way to take care of your responsibility as a stay-at-home parent and also make some extra money. But I'm going to strongly urge you to find a career that you like, because otherwise you're going to be relying on him forever. And that's wrong for your support. You both have to support these children. You both made them now. You're not living together. You're not married. You both have to support them. But she certainly isn't going to give you back $2,400 for money that you owe the state of Wisconsin, sir. Your complaint's dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nancy's been on a free ride for many years, refusing to work.
Should be said and done. It was over in court beforehand.
After she got out of jail, she's free. The bill's paid. It's the heck with me.
Yeah, this is case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Walker versus Noble. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Walker, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. It is your claim that the defendant locked you out, she kept some of your property, and in addition, she showed around a private letter which caused you embarrassment.
Yeah.
The defendant says that you, in fact, broke the lease to the apartment. She is countersuing for your share of 4 months' rent. She said that she did not lock you out of the apartment. So when did you sign this lease?
It was September 22nd of 2001.
And how did you know the defendant?
I used to work with her, and we were friends.
So tell me when this problem started, around Christmas time?
It was around Christmas time, December 21st of 2001. I had received a phone call, 3 o'clock in the morning, from my mother, stating that she was sick and that she wanted me to come down there to be with her.
Where does she live?
She lives in Virginia.
Where is this apartment that you were living in?
It's in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The only thing I took with me was my clothes. A few days later, my mom got better, so I was going to come home, and I received a phone call from Josie stating that I am no longer allowed in the house because she thought I moved out.
How many days later?
It had to have been like 4 or 5.
In the
That's
month
not
of
true at
December?
all.
In the month of December.
No.
Okay. Had you paid your share of December's rent?
Yes, I was paid up until January.
None of that is true at
Just
all.
a second, I'm going to get to you in a minute. All right, how much was rent?
It was $240. I paid $240 a month.
Josie, give me your version of what happened.
Let's see, December 20th, I spoke to him on the phone, and I asked him if he had his share of the rent money. And the whole month, I was letting him go with just giving me $40 a week, and we'll just take it up from there, and he'd make it up to me at the end of the month. And when I talked to him, he said that he spent his share on presents. And I never once said that he could never come back to the apartment.
Let's just get to, you're getting ahead of yourself. You're getting ahead of yourself. Now, what happened? He said he left December 21st. What happened?
He left in the night. I never heard a phone ring at 3 a.m. I would have woken up. He would have woken up.
Well, who's he?
He is my my ex-boyfriend. He was there at the time.
Okay, I don't care whether you heard a phone or you didn't hear a phone. You woke up December 21st, and
I woke up. Well, he woke up to go wake Jamie up to go to work, and he found this note that Jamie left.
Can I see it, please?
That is not my writing.
Oh my God.
I have very sloppy writing. That is not my writing.
Do you have any other writing of the?
I have the
plaintiffs?
copy of the lease that he signed, and I don't know about that.
Well, but he's printing this.
There should be a signature one right above
Oh, I
my
see.
signature.
Oh, I see. Yes, you're right. I think you wrote this.
I did not write it.
I think you wrote this, Mr. Walker. I'm just looking at the way you not only signed your name here, but printed it on your lease. It's exactly the same as the printing on this. Yes, it is. Okay. So you left.
Yes.
What items do you claim that Miss Noble kept of yours?
Well, she has a computer.
Well, you wrote here the computer is yours, too. You can have my last paycheck. Give this to Dawn as proof. And you also wrote the computer is yours, too.
I did not give her the computer.
Well, that's what you wrote, sir.
But I didn't write that, I'm saying.
Oh, I think you did.
Well, she has a desk of mine, too. A bed. She has some books, CDs.
And when did you try to get back into the apartment, Mr. Walker?
It was right after I got back.
Okay. And you're on the lease?
Yes, I am.
Then you should have been let back into the apartment. Did you go to the police?
No, I didn't know I could.
Of course you did. If you have a lease to an apartment, you're on the lease.
The landlord wouldn't let me back in there either.
No, you go to the police. Put your hand down. I didn't ask for you. You know that you can go to the police if you're locked out of your apartment. Come.
And they had the locks changed, too.
So what? The police go, they knock at the door, they say he has a lease to the apartment, he has the absolute right to be here, to the apartment. You were ready to go home in a couple of days. You go home. So I don't believe you, sir.
He didn't go to Virginia. I have a receipt from my cousin who sent him money while he was in York, PA.
I don't care where he went. I don't believe him. You want to tell me the second part of your lawsuit, sir? Second part of your lawsuit is about a letter.
Yes. Miss Noble had gone through my room with all my stuff, and she had found a personal letter of mine, and she had given it to one of our co-workers, and in which in turn that co-worker had took that letter and spread it around work and customers too.
Tell me about that letter.
After he left that note, we waited a little while. He cleaned out the room, Jamie's room, and we found this little red binder that said, "Don't go through it." So we're going to go through it.
Of course.
And he found the letter, handed it to me, I read it, got a kick out of it, and the girl that I showed, he was going around saying that he slept with her, telling nasty stories about her, and it's like, she wasn't my best friend, but she was like a coworker, and it's affecting her reputation. So we invited her over, we showed her the letter, she said, "Can I keep it?" And I didn't care. And she kept it, gave it back, I don't know what I did.
That's why, Mr. Walker, if you honestly wanted to get back into your apartment, and I don't know where you went, because you had valuable things in there, things that you didn't want shown around, that's why you go to the police and you get all your stuff. When, for the first time, did you decide to get back your stuff?
It was right after I got back.
No.
Which was what month?
December.
In December?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do?
I called her and
So
I
what
said,
did you do? Did you go to court in December? Did you go to court in January or February? What'd you do?
No, I waited because
Why?
she said she was going to take me to court first. And I never got anything back, so I filed
Why
the
should
case.
you? Listen to me,
Because she said she was going to.
Mr. Walker. You're not an unintelligent person, are you?
No.
You locked out of your apartment, you go to the police, you say, I have to get my stuff, my computer, my private
He was
stuff. I
never
went
locked out.
away in the middle of the night to help take care of my ailing mother.
He was never locked out. I didn't get the locks changed until about a month ago.
Not even,
and
not even like
what,
2 weeks ago.
What happened was he left a note in my mailbox telling me to call him on a cell phone number. And I told him, why don't you just give me like $500 and I won't go to the cops and I won't go do all this stuff so I can get the rest of my money back because I really wanted to avoid this.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
That doesn't give her the right to spread it around work. That's my personal information.
I showed a girl that you lied about.
And later today,
Show me. Well, what do you think you were coming here for? Waltz lessons?
No.
Show me where you had paid off the bills.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Walker says former roommate Josie Noble owes for the return of his belongings. Jamie also says Josie defamed his character.
Go ahead.
May I say something to that?
Who are you?
I'm Sarah, Jamie's friend. He's staying with me at the current moment.
Sure.
On the date that Miss Noble is talking about, when she had called, it is my cellular phone. She was really rude to me, ranting and raving about different things, saying that she was going to harm Jamie and that she was going to have people after him.
What did she say she wanted?
She wanted to talk to him. She wanted to talk to him now, and I said, well, he's unavailable at this moment. He had called her back, and they had talked about it for a couple hours, and
I was at work for a couple
It
hours.
was like an hour, approximately an hour.
Yes.
They had worked out to where she had said that he could not come get his things. She had also had called me before on my cellular phone telling me that, wondering where he was at, and told me that he was not allowed to get his things and that they were hers now.
That was not what was said
Can I
on
say
the phone
something?
at all. At all. I called there and...
Whatever. I don't know what this letter said. I don't have this letter, unless somebody has a copy of the letter. Do you have
I
a
have
copy of the
proof
letter?
that it was about, what it entailed.
And it was left in your house.
It was left in the apartment, yes.
Right. Which I find that you left.
But that doesn't give her the right to spread it around work.
No, no,
That's
no.
my personal information.
May I say something?
I showed a girl that you lied about.
You
Yeah,
may
she
not.
left for
It
that.
doesn't lend anything. Neither did her statement lend anything, but I thought maybe it might.
I was there a lot, like around through everything that happened, so.
Spare me, would you please? He is suing for the following: for the return of his property. What personal property? A computer?
A computer.
A desk?
A desk. A
You have his
bed.
desk?
He doesn't have a desk. All there was a little nightstand thing.
It's a stand.
And a bed. And a couple books were left.
Fine. Where are those things?
The stand is still in the apartment, the bed is still in the apartment, and the books are still there.
Great.
I have my
Great.
videos too, and my CDs.
What about his movies?
There
and CDs?
are no CDs. There's probably like 2 movies I think I still might have, but
15.
no CDs. Not in,
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is get the boyfriend to help you pack up his bed, his little nightstand, his books, and his videos. Pack them up. Put them out on the front of the house 5 days from today's date. He has 3 hours, from 12 to 3. If you're not there between 12 and 3 to get your bed, your nightstand, your books, and your videos, she has the right to get rid of them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now let's get to the issue of the rent.
Okay.
You left the premises, and I find that you had no reason to leave the premises. Even if she locked you out, you had the right to get back in there, and I don't find that she locked you out of the residence. So from the time you left in December until the time she found a roommate, you are responsible for half your rent.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
Her ex-boyfriend now, he was living with us from the time that he moved, or that we moved into the apartment, until the time that I left, and after that, I know he was still staying there, as I know of.
When you moved in September, was he living there?
Yes.
So that you knew he was living there.
Yes.
So?
But
That was your arrangement in September. He didn't move in afterwards, right?
Right.
So stop complaining. You have to pay until she. Who was your new roommate?
She just recently moved out. She was my cousin's cousin.
And how many months did she live there?
4 months.
When did she move in?
Or 3 months.
When did she move in? I don't need her name.
March.
So the month of January and February, is that right? He wasn't there, and then you had a roommate in March. Is that right?
Because he was gone for 4 months before I got her to move in.
Doesn't sound right. $480 is what you owe her. Do you understand?
Yes.
However, we're holding the $480 until you get your property, which is going to be on the order. Do you understand?
I think she might have only been there for 2 months or...
Fine.
So
that's still only 2 months. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. I don't care whether you agree with it or not. Do you understand it? That's all.
But he was...
Maybe I shouldn't have went to go visit my mother.
He's such a liar, and so is she. Nothing but a bunch of little lies, and I'm so glad that they're out of my life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Olenichuk Robertson versus Crandall. Step forward, please.
21-year-old homemaker Jennifer Olenichuk and her boyfriend, carpenter Michael Robertson, are suing their former friend, 22-year-old fast food worker Jennifer Crandall, for money owed and for vandalism to their property.
Ms. Olenichuk, you and the defendant were good friends, according to what I've read, for about 7 years. And there came a time, it was past summer, that, according to you at least, the defendant was thrown out of her house. She lived with her parents or her mother, along with her child. And you volunteered to take her into your house that you share with your boyfriend.
Right.
She did, in fact, move in with you. And when was that?
June 1st, 2002.
And how old is your child?
11 months old.
And the child came with you?
Yes.
And it was your agreement, according to you, that she would take care of some chores around the house, pay some minimal rent.
Right.
She'll claim it didn't work out. You told her to leave because you believed that she had stolen some money from you. You changed the locks on the door. She came home. She got angry when she found out the locks would change. She vandalized your house, vandalized your car. Ms.
Right.
Crandall says she owes you nothing. She didn't cause any damage.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It appeared that she was drinking. We were screaming at each other and yelling. She went to her car, got a crowbar out of her trunk, and went at my trunk with her crowbar.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Olenichuk and her boyfriend Michael Robertson claim former roommate Jennifer Crandall owes for vandalism to their property and unpaid rent. Jennifer says the couple locked her out.
So when did you find that she had stolen money from you? What makes you think she stole money from you?
On August 8th, I was at work. I got paid $200 in cash. I came home late that night. We had a fight because I had used Jenny's car to go to work, and I came home late.
So she was angry with you?
Yes, very angry. We went to bed very late. The next morning, we woke up, and Jenny was gone with Cheyenne, and I went in my purse, and I was missing a $100 bill. Usually she left a note when she left. She left no note that morning, and she didn't call right away. She didn't call for a few hours after that. Then when I did talk to her when she called, she had told me that her and her sister-in-law had been at the mall getting some toys for Cheyenne and this, that, and the other. And I had asked her, well, you were kind of broke yesterday. And she had told me that she took exactly $100 off of an account that she has at the bank.
Okay. So?
After that, she didn't come home all day. I went back and forth with deciding whether or not I actually wanted to be kind of mean about it and just do things the way I did. And at like the last minute, I decided. And I packed up all her and her child's stuff and put it outside. She came home about 5 minutes later, and that's when things just escalated. I was in the house the whole time watching out the window. It appeared that she was drinking. She, of course, tried to get in the door to come upstairs, and she noticed that the locks was changed. And there was a lot of yelling going on. She then started throwing rocks at the windows because I live on the second story, and sometimes you don't hear people knocking. Then it went from that to, of course, I didn't open the window or answer at all. I was scared that if I went downstairs...
You weren't sure about it.
That if I went downstairs, there'd be a physical confrontation, which didn't need to happen after everything else. She used the neighbor's phone and called about, 6 or 7 times. Why don't you come downstairs? This is ridiculous. You're being a...
Why did you decide to go the nasty route? I mean, you said, I debated whether or not to go the nasty route back and forth, and finally I decided to go the nasty route. Why?
Well, and we've had a lot of problems with the friendship in the last 7 years, and the night before, like I said, we had gotten in a big fight.
Because you used her car and you kept the car out longer than you were supposed to. That was the wrong thing to do.
Right.
So why did that end up with you doing the nasty thing and throwing her things out?
Because it was very, very loud and escalated the night before. We were screaming at each other and yelling, and I said, okay, you know, I've already apologized 3 or 4 times. I'm sorry. And finally I was just like, well, why don't you just leave then? And when I said, you know, why don't you just leave? She said, no, I'm not leaving. Well, then when the stuff happened the next morning, I was scared that, again, inside my house this time, I would have the same fight of, no, I'm not going to leave. So I just did things the way that I did, more or less to save.
Nasty.
Right. Very nasty.
So what do you think she owes you?
The night that the whole thing happened, August 9th, after she was angry that I changed the locks, she was trying to kick in my door. It didn't open, but she messed up the door. I do have pictures. We had to replace the lock again after I just changed it. The molding was pulled away from the door, and then after that, she realized, I don't know if she realized she wasn't going to get it open, or she just got sick of kicking at it. She went over to her car, and she was yelling stuff about, she had some tools that were stored in my trunk, because I have a very small apartment. She went to her car, got a crowbar out of her trunk, and went at my trunk with her crowbar.
Anybody ever tell you that you had to give her some notice before you changed the locks on her? You just locked her out with her 11-month-old baby.
She was already planning on moving.
What I'm telling you is, you did it in a disorganized fashion over an incident that was your fault. You took her car and kept it without her permission.
No, that's not why I kicked her out. The reason I kicked her out was the money.
She's not the only one who lives in your house.
No, but my...
She's not the only one who lives in your house.
Right.
I don't know whether she took your money or not. You still are obliged. She's a rent-paying tenant to give her notice, and you didn't. You just can't say, well, I don't like this tenancy anymore. I'm changing the locks and throwing your stuff out. That doesn't work. And you yourself told me, kept going back and forth and back and forth. Should I do this the nasty way or the nice way? Nasty or nice? And at the last minute, you decided to do it the nasty way.
Right, or I could have had a broken house and a fist fight in my living room.
That's possible. You could have also had the police there. But you have to give her a 30-day notice. Or give her 5 days. Or something.
Well, she did. She had a week and a half. There was a day already set for her to move out.
So?
Well, I was already a ton of money in the hole from covering
Just a second.
rent.
What date was she supposed to move out?
The 14th.
The 14th.
And what day was this?
The 9th. The 9th. When the incident happened.
Change the rules. You get nothing. See, you didn't have to say a word. That's all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Boncheva versus Lowhorn. Step forward, please.
17-year-old Petya Boncheva is suing 23-year-old welder Larry Lowhorn for keying Petya's car. Larry is denying the charge.
All right, this is not going to take long, Bird. Don't get too comfortable. According to your complaint, you knew the defendant. Whether you liked him or he liked you, I quite frankly don't care whether you were friends or not, but according to your complaint, you were at somebody else's house, you walked into the house, he's sitting there with his shoes off, and you commented that he had dirty socks, which irritated him. The next thing you knew, you went outside, so you saw that somebody had keyed your car, and you say it was the defendant. He says, you did comment about his dirty socks, but he didn't key your car.
Correct.
Is that right?
That is correct, Your Honor.
I probably think you keyed her car. Just watching you, watching your body language. I'm really smart when it comes to that. I think you did do that, but it, see what I mean?
Yes.
But it's up to her to prove it to me. And you have no witnesses, is that right?
No.
Nobody saw him do it?
No.
He didn't admit that he did it?
No.
So what do you want me to do?
Well, he actually did say that he was going to do something to my car, and the night that...
Your Honor?
Don't speak until I speak to you.
Yes.
The night that he keyed my car, we were over at my friend Keith's house.
Don't give me the whole story. I want to know. He said he was going to key your car. When did he say he was going to do something
After I made a comment about his socks, telling him that his socks were dirty, he looked at me and he said, well, you really shouldn't make comments to people that know what kind of car you drive. So I said, you don't even know what kind of car I drive. And he reminded me how we met and the night he'd seen my car. So I was like, okay, you know, he knows my car. Then right after he made a comment, he said, well, you better watch out now. Watch what happens to you now.
So you have pretty good reason to think that it was him, right?
Yeah.
But you understand that in court you have to have proof.
Yeah, well, actually, we did call, I did call the Clinton Township Police Department. We did make a report about it. I was in there for not more than a half an hour. And after he made a comment, he went outside for 5 minutes and
you know, he came back, he just looked at me and smiled. So my friend Keith said, well, let's go look at your car. You know, maybe he did do something to it. So me and him walked outside and seen my car was keyed. Right after he was out there for 5 minutes, came back, and, you know, we went outside. So
what did the police tell you when you reported it?
They told me to make a report about it, take him to court, because
they couldn't do anything about it because you had no witnesses. They couldn't arrest him.
No.
Now you want to say something?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. What she's failing to mention at first is that she was kind of upset with me in the beginning, before all this even started, because, like, when we initially met...
I don't care!
Okay.
Get to her car!
Okay, when I got to the apartment and she started saying this stuff to me...
about your dirty socks
yes.
and about your hygiene.
Yes, I kind of got aggravated, so I kind of went outside. My witness, Sam, and another girl were outside. They were talking. I went out there to use the phone because we had gotten the argument. I called my girlfriend to come pick me up because I didn't want to sit here and argue with a 16-year-old about something as petty as, like, dirty socks. So I called him. We came up back to... Sam came up first, and I came up later with Laura.
Sir,
actually,
Mr.
lying,
Lawhorn, I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you.
Okay.
Unless you're going to tell me, Judge, I'm going to fess up. Either I keyed her car, or my friend keyed her car, or I saw somebody key her car. I don't want to hear all your other nonsense. Do you understand?
Yes.
Did you key her car?
No, Your Honor.
Do you know who did?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
No.
Right. You have no proof that he keyed your car. You have no witnesses. He didn't make a confession. Do you understand? I can't find that he keyed your car. He might have, or he might have, or somebody else that was outside might have. He may have given them the key to key your car. You have no proof.
But he said he was going to do something to my car. So, and I was in there for not more than a half an hour, and we walked outside as soon as she came in, and my car was keyed. No, Sam was not outside with him when he went outside. Neither was Laura. They were all in the apartment with us.
Well, they weren't.
They were all in there. So he went outside alone.
You have no proof that he keyed your car. Not sufficient in court, anyway. Not sufficient for the police to arrest him for vandalism, and not sufficient for me to be able to charge him for fixing your car. He might have done it. Probably did, based upon his body English, but I can't make a judgment based upon that. So unfortunately, I have to dismiss your case. That's all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brown versus Valero. Step forward, please.
Home health care provider Greg Brown is suing his ex-fiancée, insurance claims assistant Christina Valero, for an unpaid loan. Christina says Greg forgave a loan when they began dating.
Mr. Brown, you claim a loan to the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
When she was in some financial difficulty.
Yes, ma'am.
The loan was for rent. The loan was for, I think, $2,300.
Yes, ma'am.
You were paid back $200 from a relative of hers.
Yes, ma'am.
With an outstanding balance of $2,100.
Yes, ma'am.
However, she says that you forgave that loan after you started dating. Is that what your defense is?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. When did you meet her, Mr. Brown?
Early September.
Of what year?
2001, ma'am.
And when did you make this loan for the rent, and under what circumstances?
She came to me, she gave me a phone call and said that she was going to be thrown out of her apartment. I gave her the loan under the conditions that she would sign an IOU and pay me back.
Can I see it, please? I assume that's the piece of paper you have.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I typed that letter, and...
I wasn't speaking to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, as we persisted on our friendship, grew into a relationship, the relationship was quite expensive. She was constantly asking for money. $100 here, $100 there. I felt that I was being taken advantage of, literally. So she had told me that she was going to a dinner party with her company in Santa Rosa, and she was supposed to come back that night.
When was that, sir?
That was September 28th, I believe.
Still during the month of September?
Yes, yes. She refused to come back because she said she fell asleep in her car and was there all night. Well, I'm not exactly a fool, so I figured that she was doing something she wasn't supposed to do. At that time, I figured her irresponsibility to the relationship was not what I was looking for, so I dismissed it.
So you terminated the relationship?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and you asked her back for the money?
Yes, I did.
Okay. I'll hear from you, Miss Valero.
We started as friends, And I was in a financial difficulty at that time, and he offered that he would help us.
Who's us?
My daughter, my sister-in-law here, my son.
Go ahead.
I even typed a promissory note thinking that I would, I would really pay him. And then he said, we went out to dinner, and he said he's interested in me. And we started dating, and then he gave me a promise ring, which is this.
All in the month of September?
Yes.
Go ahead, keep going.
And then on my birthday, he gave me this.
When's your birthday?
December.
Now we're jumping to December.
Mm-hmm. Well, the whole month of November, we were fine. Then we broke up for maybe 2-3 weeks because of that incident that I went out with my friends.
Could you get to your defense, please? I'm really anxious.
He promised to marry me. He asked me to marry him.
Yes. When did he ask you to marry him?
Like November.
And what did you say?
And I said, okay, we'll, if our relationship is going good,
I'm waiting for the defense.
Please. Finally, shh. Finally, all of a sudden, he told me that his mother died. I tried calling him and calling him.
I'm getting weak. Would you tell me what your defense is, madam?
There is no defense.
He disappeared on me.
Yes.
And he told me that when we're together, the loan is gone.
He said if the relationship gets that deeper, you don't have to pay me back the money.
Yes.
So it didn't get that deep. So you have to pay him back the money. What is so hard to understand?
Yes, Your Honor, it got deeper because we tried looking for a house, and we were talking about marriage.
So?
He even put away an engagement ring for me.
It sounds like he was a very nice man. He's not asking you for the jewelry back.
He is.
No, he isn't. Not in this lawsuit.
Yes, he told my sister-in-law here.
He's not asking for it. Listen, this is his one shot at a lawsuit. He's not asking for the jewelry back. He knows that was a gift.
That's right.
He knows he can't get the jewelry back. Jewelry that looks very nice on you, and I'm sure you enjoy wearing. This was a loan. And if he forgave the loan, what you do is you say, if you forgive the loan, Greg, if you forgive the loan, could I have the IOU back that I signed and I typed, and I'd like to rip it up. We'll have a ripping up IOU party. That's what you do when he forgives the loan. Meanwhile, you have to pay him back his money. Stop being a gold digger and a taker. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. That's all.
This is case number 164 on the calendar in the matter of Safford versus Daniels.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Safford, the defendant is your child's maternal grandmother.
Yes, ma'am.
And your lawsuit claims that she had custody of this child for a while, and then you were ultimately awarded custody of your daughter?
Yes.
And you claim an overpayment of child support.
Correct.
Ms. Daniels says that while you may have had physical custody of the child during that period, she actually had legal custody by a court order. Is that right?
Yes.
And therefore she is entitled to the support. Is that your defense?
That's my defense.
Your complaint was rather sketchy, Mr. Stafford, but from what I gather, you had a relationship with the defendant's daughter. Is this your daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
And the child was born, and you claim that you were told that you were not the child's father. Is that right?
That's correct.
Who told you you were not the child's father?
The social worker at the clinic there, the hospital where she was born.
When were you advised you were not the child's father?
The date of birth, I was present.
Is your name listed on the birth certificate?
No, it isn't.
Is someone else's name listed on the birth certificate?
Yes. After I had hired a lawyer, found out that the defendant's daughter was married. She never told me.
So there is another man's name as the father of the child on the birth certificate?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor.
Yes.
He's not telling the truth. He knew my daughter was married. We're cousins. And he didn't want it.
Okay. Did you advise the plaintiff that he may not have been the father of this child?
No, he was living with her when she got pregnant.
That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
No, but he knew he was the father. My daughter told him. When he was present at birth, my daughter stated to him to sign the birth certificate.
Ma'am, that's not true.
He wouldn't put his name on it.
That's not true.
You weren't there.
No, I wasn't, but my daughter is here.
You weren't there.
She refused to be there. She didn't want nothing to do with her daughter at the time when she was giving birth.
What happened when the baby was born, sir? Because this is important.
What happened when Vendela was born was that she was placed in a foster home.
No, at the time of her birth.
Yes.
You were in the hospital when she was born?
Yes.
So at that point, you thought you were the child's father?
Yes. I was under the impression that we both were going to take a paternity test. The social worker came back and told me that Deirdre stated that I'm not the father of Vendela. And she said that the father's been named. I said, well, that's...
Don't speak because you weren't there.
My daughter
Don't
was.
speak because you weren't there. And your daughter was on drugs at the time.
No, she wasn't.
This child was born with traces of cocaine in her system?
Negative.
So why was the child placed in foster care?
Because of her past history, which I had no idea to the extent that it is.
You mean past drug history?
Yes.
And that's why the child was removed?
Correct.
You can stand up with your mother if you want to. At what point, sir, were you advised that you were the father of this child?
We took a genetic marking paternity test.
When?
In 99 of March.
When was your child born?
1/28/98.
Between January 28th of 1998 and March of 1999, had you seen this child?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
I didn't have no contact with the mother or the family after being told I wasn't the father.
And it was who that told you you were? Was it the social worker or was it the mother of the child?
The grandmother came into the picture probably 9 months later, subpoenaed me to court for paternity.
In 1998, you were told that someone else's name had been placed on the birth certificate.
Yes, ma'am.
Whose name was on the birth certificate?
It's my husband, which was separated. But he and I were engaged, and I was in the process of getting divorced.
There was no
Just a
engagement.
second.
There was no ring involved. There
Just
was
a
none of
second.
that.
Somebody else's name was placed on the birth certificate at the time the child was born.
Because I was still married, and they have to do that in the state of Massachusetts.
No, she lied.
1998, the defendant summoned you to court. Is that right?
It was fall of 98.
Took the paternity test in March of 99, and the results of that test established that you were the child's father.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you initiate custody proceedings?
It was August 4th of 99 that the adjudication was supposed to have been heard. For some reason, I have no idea. It went on for, I believe, 7 months until I was adjudicated. I have the document here that was signed by both myself, the lawyer, and the defendant, the grandmother who was guaranteed relative of Vendela at the time.
Okay, at the time, the child was ultimately taken out of foster care and placed in the care of her grandmother.
Correct.
You have other children of this daughter, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
How many other children?
2, but I only have 1 now.
Why, is she taking one back?
No, she went to live with the father.
Did the grandmother consent to your having custody of the child?
There was a court hearing. She had no say in it because I was not mentally impaired or no drugs or anything like that.
How's your daughter doing now?
She's doing fine. I'm happy that I have her and that she's out of the environment that she's in. She's doing a lot better than she was.
Okay, when did you take physical custody of the child?
That was March 9th of 2000.
And how much child support were you paying that time?
It was $200 a week.
And when you were ultimately called to court, that was in 99, and they made a paternity order. They made a retroactive order so that you had to pay several $1,000s to the defendant.
Correct.
And you did, in fact, pay that.
Yes, that was satisfied.
How many weeks after you obtained custody of the child did the money continue to come out of your check?
Your Honor, why he looked for that? Could I tell you?
Just a minute. Wait a second. I'll get to your side. Okay. I promise you.
A little over a month and a half.
So if you had custody for 7 weeks, that comes to $1,400. Okay, now it's up to you, Miss Daniels. Talk to me.
Okay, back referring to when he said he was supposed to take custody in 1999, it was because he didn't want to have nothing to do with her. We went to court and we signed this paper, and he was supposed to take custody. He made no attempt to get a place to put her, no attempt to help pay for her living expense. He gave me nothing. And then he tell you that he don't know why. It's because he didn't want nothing to do with the baby. That's why he didn't take it in 1999. And I have this paper proving he signed it, and he's supposed to take custody of it. But he didn't because he didn't want to have nothing to do with her.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He pretended to be my friend and cared about me, and then we fell in love. He wanted a child. Then I had a drug relapse. I came to him and told him. He left me pregnant.
And later today...
You say he gave you the ring on May 8th. He says he gave it to you on April 1st. And you say that you hadn't seen the ring before.
Yes.
Baloney!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Christopher Safford says his daughter's maternal grandmother, Linda Daniels, owes for the return of child support.
Listen, Your daughter created this problem.
Yes.
And I'm going to explain how your daughter created this problem. She was married to somebody else at the time she gave birth to this child.
True.
Which means, according to her, they must put his name on the birth certificate,
True.
that her husband. That's not always true. Doesn't have to put it down if she says he's not the father. He could be legally compelled to support the child until somebody else gets on the hook for support. However, she created this problem because
Not by
she
herself,
cannot,
Your
well,
Honor.
just pay attention. If this child went on welfare, welfare wouldn't know who to sue for the support. Do you sue the father who's on the birth certificate, or do you sue this man who hasn't been adjudicated the father? I mean, he's had the child now for a considerable period of time. The court would not have given him the child if he was unfit to have the child.
The court didn't give him the child at the time he took her.
Ma'am.
We gave her.
Ma'am.
After that.
Ma'am, if I may.
No, you
What?
don't have to.
I need
Turn
to
for
say
me.
something.
She talking to me now.
Go ahead.
Can I speak?
Go ahead.
This situation, this situation is my fault. But with my kids, the reason my kids are there with them, it's because I put them there. I've maintained a job and security, but I was not stable enough. And with him, he came to my family. We're cousins. He told my mom he was going to help me. He pretended to be my friend and cared about me, and then we fell in love, and he knew I was married, and then we got engaged. My mom had problems. She told him to stay away from me. He wanted a child. Then I had a drug relapse because I got clean. I had a drug relapse. I came to him and told him. He left me pregnant. I put myself in the hospital. That's why my baby wasn't born with
like
drugs
this is
in
a
her
joke.
system.
It's not true.
I put
It's
my
true.
baby in the hospital so she
Because
wouldn't be clean.
My
and
daughter-
I put my kid with my mom.
My
in
daughter
foster
suffered
care.
from bipolar. I told Chris this.
And they took me off
She
all
had a drug
medication.
problem. I told
And
Chris
that's how
that
I
too.
relapsed.
But he was working with social people. He said the people that had drug problems that he could help her.
I don't.
He
I
helped
never
her all
worked
right.
with people with
yes,
drug problems.
Yes, you did.
No.
Listen,
That's what you
How do you
told
know what
me.
I've done for work?
You told me
listen,
that.
Stop talking to each other. Listen to me. Listen to me. If he had physical custody of this child for a period of 7 weeks, you had no right to receive the support for the child.
took her.
Whether you had, I don't care whether he took her or not. The court left her with him. She's not.
She had custody. He kidnapping
I
charge.
don't care.
He took her.
I don't care. The money, listen to me, the money is supposed to go for the support of the child. If he's giving her money, that means he has less money to support the child with. It's not her money, it's the child's money.
I didn't take it for myself.
That was money owed to her.
Ma'am,
Your Honor,
She's
No.
a kept baby in the state of Massachusetts.
Listen
you
to me.
cannot get welfare with a family kept baby.
Listen to me
And he
very
owed her.
carefully. For the first several months of this child's life, the child was in foster care.
Yes.
2 years she had her with no money.
She didn't
Just
have
a
it for
minute.
2 years.
Then
Yes, I
there
did.
was a lump sum paid. Both parties acknowledged that there was a lump sum paid at
Yes.
the time when he was finally adjudicated the father.
Yes.
It should have went to the state.
No, it shouldn't have.
Several $1,000s. What I'm saying to you is this money, while the child was in his custody, that you got from his check, should have taken that money and said, here, make sure the baby has this money. Because I'm not supposed to have it. It's not supposed to help defray my costs, my rent, my gas, it's supposed to go for the baby. So you owe him $1,400 and pay him. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm upset because my mom,
He is a
everything
liar.
my mom got, she took care of my kids.
Clearly, all the allegations are not true.
He wouldn't even be a man and take his daughter when we
No,
called
he
and told him to please come get her.
As far as me taking care of my daughter, I've been doing that from day one since she gave her up.
He's put my mom through this and no one's getting hurt but our daughter.
It was clearly money motivated.
I'm not hurt. He's hurting the baby, not me.
It's clearly a mother taking control of her own daughter's life.
He left me pregnant with my baby.
And I told you to leave him alone.
People like this need to be exposed.
Plus, he's cousin. You don't mess with your cousin.
When people like this come into court and clog the system up using our tax dollars and make a mockery out of it, that shouldn't be done.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Sims versus Cruz. Step forward, please.
Serviceman Billy Sims is suing the daughter of his late father's girlfriend, 21-year-old Christina Cruz. Billy says Christina stole a cell phone off of his father's dead body.
Mr. Sims, your father passed away in June of this year.
That's correct, Your Honor.
According to your complaints, he passed away. He had a heart attack in his car.
That's correct, Your Honor.
And the defendant was in the car with him, along with her boyfriend.
I'm not exactly sure if she was either in the car or if she was following behind him in another vehicle, but they were traveling together.
How did they know each other? Do you know?
The defendant's mother had a relationship with my father.
Is that right? So your mom and his dad
were dating.
When his father had the heart attack, were you in the car with him?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh. And this is all about a cell phone.
That's correct.
Because it is your claim that the defendant took your dad's cell phone after he had the heart attack and died.
Yes, Your
in their
Honor.
presence
Yes,
in the
Your
car.
Honor.
And Ms. Cruz says that she has the cell phone, but that he gave it to her.
Okay.
June what did your father pass away?
It was June the 18th of this year, Your Honor.
What time?
I have a copy of his death certificate.
May I see it, please?
Sure. The coroner put his time of death at about 2:30 p.m. Of course, the...
Okay. Did there ever come a time when you got property that was on his person at the time that he died?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
The following day, on the 19th, that morning, the county coroner called me and my brother to come and get his personal effects. Now, we had to get his vehicle.
Okay. What personal effects did you pick up?
Okay, I picked up his wallet, his checkbook.
Okay, wallet. Was there anything in the wallet?
His identification and some of those things.
Any cash?
There was no cash in his wallet, Your Honor.
Do you know where your father was going on the 18th of June?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. He was doing, my father was retired. He spent most of his time just doing yard work for people, doing handyman jobs really for little or no pay. And he was assisting the defendant's mother on doing some of this work.
Okay. When was the last time you had spoken to your father from the cell phone?
The morning before his death, probably maybe about an hour or an hour and a half before his actual death.
Did you call him or did he call you?
He called me twice, Your Honor.
From his cell phone. Prior to that, for what period of time had your father had this cell phone?
He's probably had the phone almost 2 years. He's had this cell phone, Your Honor.
And is that the phone that he uses primarily for his communication with you?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, now, Ms. Cruz, it is your claim, your defense, and you say you do have the phone, and you did use the phone, but that it was a gift to you.
Yes, Honor.
Now, I'd like you to tell me your version of the events when Mr. Sims' dad picked you up, because that's what happens. He picked you up along with this person?
Yeah.
Who was this
my
person?
Witness. Oh, that's my boyfriend.
So let me hear. He came and picked you up at your mom's home?
No, he came over my house and picked us up, and we were going to go swimming. But first, we were going to do some stuff for my mama.
Okay. Now tell me about the cell phone.
And he took me and my boyfriend to the side. And
To the side of what?
Of his truck.
Yes.
And said, y'all are like my kids and everything, and I'm going to give you my cell phone. We have a deal. You pay me $50 a month. And we agreed on it. All three of us agreed on it.
Just a second. So you're saying he took you from the side of the truck and said, you're like my kids.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I want you to have my cell phone. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did he have another cell phone?
No, he
just had that one cell phone?
Just that one and the house phone.
Well, but he had the cell phone. That was his cell phone.
Yeah.
And as long as you knew him, he had only used that cell phone. Is that right?
Yes, Your
Is
Honor.
that right? So on that day, he said to you, you're like my kids, I want you to have the cell phone.
Yes, Your Honor.
Liar! You're a liar.
There was other witnesses
Bald-faced liar. You took his cell phone off his dead body.
No,
and you probably also took the cash out of his wallet before the police got there. Not a question in my mind. Why would a man, unless he anticipates his own death, who has used a cell phone for 2 years to communicate with the rest of the world, all of a sudden take you and this person who was sitting over here and say, I want you to have my method of communication? Why in the world would he do that? You're like my kids. If you're like my kids, then he goes and buys you a cell phone and said, here's a cell phone.
No, because he got tired of carrying it around and everything.
It was too heavy. It was too, just a minute. Please do me a favor. Put your hand down. I don't have to listen to that baloney anymore. It's baloney. Could I please see the expenses that you are claiming for the cell phone?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did they use it, by the way?
Yes, Your Honor. They used it. Those 3 days, there were approximately about 400 minutes that were used. And I have those.
Well, just a minute. How much was the cost?
The total cost for the cell phone minutes, it was 35 cents a minute. I don't have that itemized, but
Well, just a minute. Did you ever get a bill from them for this?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I want to see the bill that you got.
This has the outstanding minutes that he had left over in excess that we had to terminate because it could have been transferred over to his next of kin. That's what the first statement says. That's from the wireless people.
No. I understand what you're saying. Mr. Sims, listen to me. What you're saying is he had sort of credits, that it didn't cost you hundreds and hundreds of dollars because they took the phone, but that you as his beneficiary or next of kin could have used those minutes if you wanted to from his cell phone plan. Is that what your plan is? Get a life. Where's the phone?
We don't have it anymore.
What'd you do with it?
The guy that was staying with Billy, his daddy, took it. And it's my brother.
Your Honor, there was no one staying with my father. He lived alone. But we asked her the Friday when we first found out that she was the one that had the phone. When she returned the phone call, she said that we were not going to get the phone back, that she got to the phone before we did, and that he's dead, and she's just as entitled to it as...
Let me tell you something. Some people will be happy, productive, moral people their whole lives, and they will raise, hopefully, happy, productive, moral offspring. And some will not. We're not talking about a lot of money, but we are talking about those people who have the capability of being moral people and those who lack the capability of being moral people. Yes, we're talking about a $40 phone bill, which you're going to get, and let's say your father really had a state-of-the-art telephone. A really good one costs $150, is that right?
Yes,
really
Your Honor,
good
it's
one?
on the estimate.
$150 plus 40 is $190. You don't get paid for the minutes, right? And I want you to, you have to feel sorry for them. I want you to feel sorry for them. Don't be angry with them. They're never going to be able to get smarter. They're never going to get morals that anywhere relate to what civilized people do, because anybody that could take property off a dead person, which is what they did, will never change. Because I don't believe that anybody, your father's age, drives a car and rides around with not a dollar in his wallet.
That's correct, Your Honor.
I don't believe that that happens. That doesn't happen. So if you're a death scavenger, you're never going to change. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $190. That's all.
37-year-old homemaker Michelle Kelly is suing her ex-boyfriend, 26-year-old construction worker Jason Watwood, for an unpaid loan and for an assault. Michelle claims Jason knocked out her tooth.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 104 on the calendar in the matter of Kelly versus Watwood. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Thanks,
Young man, have a seat. You're welcome, Judge.
Ms. Kelly, the defendant was a former boyfriend of yours. According to your complaint, he owes you for two things. A loan that you made to him while you were dating in the amount of $1,200 to fix his truck. And then is your claim that he assaulted you sometime afterwards, causing you to lose a front tooth. You wanted to pay for the dental work.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you dating the defendant? What month and year?
Jason and I met in like the end of February of last year.
When did he move in with you?
About 3 months after we met.
And when was this loan made?
It was in December.
Tell me the circumstances of the loan.
Jason bought a '69 Chevrolet pickup truck. At that point, we were broke up, and we got back together, and he had the truck for like a month, and the truck broke down on him.
When you say you broke up, did he move out of your house?
Yes, ma'am. He moved
Well,
out.
when did he move out? Moved in May of 2000.
Right, and we lived together about 6 months. And then he moved out, which Jason was always coming and going and living with me, between me and his mother. And so during this time that he buys this truck, we're getting back together, and he's starting a new job, and the truck breaks down on him. I'm having to take Jason back and forth to work. Well, during this time, he puts the truck in the shop, and he was asking me if I would loan him the money and that he would pay me back.
And he was not living with you at the time?
Yeah, in December, yes, ma'am, he was living
He
with me.
was?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, there came a time when you claimed he assaulted you. When was that?
That was in the end of December, 1st of January. Jason and I started talking about him not paying me back any of the money. And he had been drinking, and he became very violent and was very upset with me.
and said that he had been giving me, you know, money for living in the house, which I'm not denying the fact that Jason would give me $100, $150 every paycheck, but it did not consist of anything concerning the amount of money that I loaned him for the truck.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, like I said, he was, you know, very upset with me. He had been drinking. He threw me down in the kitchen floor, and I have hardwood floors, so my downstairs, and I hit my mouth, which my son is here as a witness of that. And once I broke away from that situation with Jason, I ran into the living room. That's when my son appeared in the living room. He also was on Jason, trying to help me get Jason off of me. And when I finally was away from him, of course, my mouth was bleeding, and I go to the restroom, and my tooth had been knocked out.
Can I see the bill from the dentist for that?
Yes, ma'am. I also have a letter from the dentist.
Did you file a police report?
No, ma'am, I did not. I'd had Jason arrested before for assault, and went to court and helped him get out of that like a fool, but I did.
When was that?
That was back in probably August.
And then you took him back into your house?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Okay, I'll hear you.
Your Honor, I didn't voluntarily move in with Michelle. She had asked me several times to move in with her. I stayed with her a good bit, but I didn't want to move in with her because I wasn't making a whole lot of money. I was working construction, making cash money. While I was at work, Miss Kelly went to where I was living, and she got my clothes and brought them to her house. That's how the moving in arrangement. She wanted me to move in. I said, look, you've got a payments that I can't support you with, which that's fine. I make plenty of money, so don't worry about that. So, no, I can't do that. Well, she went and got my clothes anyway.
So why don't you go get your clothes back?
Well, I thought if she wants me to move in this bad with her, you know, then I mean,
Jason, that is
why
a
not?
lie.
Don't speak to him. No, I'm just asking you. You're a big guy. You work construction. You work off the books. You get paid in cash. You sound like a pretty smart guy. So if somebody takes your clothes and moves them into the house and you don't want to go, you say, gee, I like you very much. I'm going to move my clothes back.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. I should have done that.
Well, you didn't. So, and how long did you live there under duress?
From about April to about beginning of January.
So that's a long time that you were living there in slavery.
Not complaining.
You're not complaining. So you lived there.
Yes, ma'am.
And what? And how much money did you give her while you were living?
I would give her. I mean, my check was usually somewhere between $300 and $500. I'd give her all my money except for about $50. Well, the situation was, if I got paid by check, I could not give her the check to deposit in her bank account because she lives off of her dead husband, and if she makes more than $7,000 or $9,000, I forget which one it is, a year, then she gets penalized on that money. So she'd want me to cash my check and just give her the money, and I would keep $40 or $50 for me spending money for that week, and she'd make sure that I had whatever I needed at home, which was fine.
Okay, good. So
as far as the tooth.
No, don't go to the tooth yet. I'm still with the truck.
Okay. Now the truck. I took it to I had Lake City Auto come and get it. I would go down to pay it, and Michelle would not want me just to give them cash money because if they said we didn't pay any money on it, if she just wrote a check, give her the cash, then we'd be able to trace it and show me, look, we paid with a check, we'd be able to trace it, which at the time seemed like the right thing to do.
So how much money were you giving her every month?
At a minimum, $200 per week, at a minimum of $800 per month.
And you considered the money that she wrote for the fixing of your truck money that you had, in fact, contributed to the household?
No, ma'am.
You gave her additional money.
I would give her all my money, just where she would have money. I mean, I was the one that would give the lunch money in the mornings. I would take the kids to school. She's been to court probably several times for the kids being tardy from school, from absences. And if I had to take them several times, she'd have been right back there again.
That is not true, Your Honor. Jason did give me $80 towards the loan.
When?
He did do that. In February.
Is that right?
Like the first week of February.
I gave her $80, but it wasn't for the loan. I was going to give her $100 to help her out. And she was griping because all I was giving her was $100, and she started mouthing off. And so I pulled a 20 off of the stack of 20s. I said, you're down to 80. And so she hushed, and I gave her the money. And then, of course, when she got the money, she said her piece again and left.
So you paid her $80 back?
No, just to help her out, not as a loan. I give her money throughout the time that we was dating, and more so than my part of the bills. I mean, she'd have $600 phone bills and would get mad at me,
all yours,
and I would sit there and I would line them
Pine.
up. I said, well, let's calculate these and see how much mine are. So 1 month mine come to $24. The next month mine come to $26. So why would I owe her more than that?
He never paid.
Tell me about this incident, sir, where she says that you threw her down on the floor.
She didn't like my hours at my new job. I'd get home about 9:30 or 10 at night. Well, she couldn't stay home. She had to go out. She had to go out drinking. Well, I get home, and the kids would be a little worried, you know, like, well, you know, is Mom coming home? Are you going to meet her? So now I'm just going to hang right here, and then asked me to call her, so I'd call her. Well, she need to come home. Well, I'll come home when I want to. You know, you're at work all day. I'm, you know, entitled to go out and have a good time. Well, she come home, and then the night that she had come home, and that we'd actually got into it, I was just trying to keep her from hitting me and kneeing me. And I would grab her, I hold her to keep her from doing that. The reason why she was so mad was because one phone bill that we had, she couldn't find one of the pages. It just mysteriously disappeared. Well, I called the phone company and asked them to send me a copy of the bills. Okay, I asked her again, where's this page from the phone bills? Well, I don't know. I showed her the copy. It was the page that was missing, which was a page full of calls to her ex-boyfriend. And, of course, that's when she went off. She was about half-tight, and it made her mad, so she went off.
What time did this happen, sir?
This was probably around midnight.
Around midnight.
Between 11 and 12, I would say.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
Just a second. With the children, shh. Is that when she came home?
She came home around, I'd say around 11. And,
She came home at around 11.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Step up next to your mom. I just have a couple of questions for you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle Kelly says ex-boyfriend Jason Watwood owes for an unpaid loan and for knocking out her tooth.
Tell me your name.
Corey.
Corey, do you remember when your mom and Mr. Watwood had an argument?
Yes, ma'am.
What time of the day was it?
It was about 1 o'clock
1 o'clock when?
in the morning.
Had you been sleeping?
Yes.
Do you remember what time you went to sleep?
About 9 o'clock, because it was a school night.
Was your mom home when you went to sleep?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know whether your mom went out again that evening?
No, ma'am.
You don't know?
No, ma'am.
Was Mr. Watwood at home when you went to sleep?
No, ma'am.
What time did you get home that evening, sir?
About 9:30.
When you got home, was the plaintiff at home?
Jesse and Corey was at home.
I asked you if the plaintiff was at home when you got home at 9:30.
No, ma'am.
The children were sleeping?
No, they were still awake.
Do you remember your mom going out?
No, ma'am.
You don't remember, or she didn't go out?
Well, I really don't know if she went out, but when me and my sister go to bed, she doesn't really ever go out.
What happened to wake you up at 1 o'clock in the morning?
Well, I was sleeping, and I heard a big noise, and downstairs, and I went and told my sister, and she just fell back asleep because she didn't hear anything. And I went downstairs, and I saw him hitting my mom. Well, not hitting her, but he had her down on the ground, and he wouldn't let her up.
In what room was that?
It was in the kitchen.
And what was your mom wearing?
She was wearing, I can't remember.
What was the defendant wearing?
He was wearing a white shirt and I think a pair of blue jean shorts.
And you don't remember what your mom was wearing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, sit down.
Your Honor?
What?
I'd just like to say that this is what Miss Kelly does for a living. She sues people for a living. And I've been at her home several times where she's prepped the kids as to what to say, what to do.
What kind of lawsuit, sir?
Corey got hit by a car a few years back, and the lawsuit went on and on and on. Instead of settling for, I think it was $70,000, she got greedy and wouldn't settle, so she ended up losing the lawsuit. And she's in lawsuits right now from her house, and she's suing four different people. And she's even told me that, you know, they've offered her $100,000 apiece, but she won't take it. She's going for $1 million apiece. That's what she does for a living.
I don't know if she does that for a living, so she has to do something else for a living. What kind of work do you do?
Actually, I'm a widow, and I'm a housekeeper. I take care of my children.
How much money do you get from Social Security?
$944.
A month?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any other source of income?
Yes, ma'am. I have my child support.
From?
My children's father.
I thought you said you were a widow.
I am. My second husband was killed in a car wreck.
What's the amount of your child support?
Right now, it's $800 a month.
Okay. Now, are you telling me, Miss Kelly, that you had not been out that evening?
No, ma'am, I didn't. I would go pick him up. He worked 6 nights a week. His truck was in the shop. I took him to work every single morning and picked him up every single night.
When did the truck come out of the shop?
The truck was in the shop for over a month.
When did it come out of the shop?
At the end of December, 1st of January.
Well, then the truck wasn't in the shop at the time you say he assaulted you, because
No,
you'd
ma'am,
already
it
given the
wasn't.
money.
Yes, ma'am, it was afterwards.
So then what were you taking him to work for?
Because when he got the truck back, it broke down again, And he has yet to even taken it back to see if anything that I had paid for that truck being fixed, he has not even taken it back to see if that was it. He's driving his father's Cavalier once again, and the truck's still sitting on the side of the road.
I just had to take it in one day. They put a new distributor cap on it. It was fine. It was January 10th when I got my truck out. Unless I'm mistaken, Tuesday through Saturday is 5 nights a week that I work, not 6.
And after that, the truck was not back in the shop?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Watwood, the only question that I have for you, I'm not satisfied that there was a loan for this truck.
Okay.
The only thing that I have to ask you is I want you to describe the incident that took place in the kitchen for me.
Michelle come in for being out. I was already there. When she come in, I said, Michelle, did you ever find the other page to the phone records? No, she never had found them. I said, well, just so happens I got a copy made. Here's the page that was missing. And that's when she went off, got mad. She was, like I said, she was about half-tight. She had way too much to drink. She's the one that, when she loses her temper, she goes off. All I did, Your Honor, was just, when she was trying to hit me, I would hold her arms to keep from hitting me, and I would turn to the side to keep her from kneeing me. And she was kicking and swinging so wildly that she fell when I was holding her arms because her feet just from trying to kick me.
Does the incident with the page from the phone bill sound familiar to you?
No, ma'am. I don't have a clue what he's talking about. He
You
had
don't?
a $600
well,
phone bill
the only
every
thing
month,
that I
and he
ask
never
you, the
paid it
reason I
either.
ask you that, Miss Kelly, is in your complaint, you say that this fight took place in mid-December, not in January, because in this complaint you say, around the holiday times, I begged him to pay me back because I needed extra cash for presents. Did you forget that you wrote that?
No, ma'am. Actually, I didn't write that.
Let me see if you signed it. That is your signature.
Yes,
because it's the same as here, and you signed it, you swore to it, and you said, around the holidays, I begged him to pay me back because I needed extra cash for presents.
Right.
That's what you signed.
Right.
Case is dismissed.
Excused. You may step out.
And I'm just glad that, Judge, you can see through her.
He's a loser, and I know what he is. And that's the bottom line.
It's completely bogus. No truth to it at all.
Yeah, this is case number 188 on the calendar in the matter of Murray versus Rose. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
You are Mr.
Murray.
So you are the father of the...
Right.
And Miss Rose, you're the mother of the groom.
Yes, ma'am.
Who are you?
The groom.
Where's the bride?
She couldn't be here. She was too upset over these matters, Your Honor.
I believe it. Okay. Bert, I want you to listen to this very carefully. You haven't married any of your children yet, right?
Not yet.
According to the complaint and the counterclaim, the two families were planning a wonderful wedding for their children, and now the wedding, which has taken place, is over, and each of the parents are suing and countersuing the others for monies that they say are owed to them as a result of the expenses for the wedding. We're not talking about a lot of money here. Mr. Murray, you claim that Mrs. Rose owes you $573.79. And Mrs. Rose, you say that Mr. Murray owes you $2,999.45. First, let me hear what the claims are before I rush to judgment. Okay, sir. When was the wedding planned?
The wedding was planned for March 31st.
And you like the bridegroom?
Yes.
Nice guy?
Yes.
You think your daughter likes him?
I hope so.
She's known him for a while?
Yes, I think they've known each other 3-4 years, something like that.
And looking forward to a wonderful life together.
Hopefully.
So tell me how much you say you're owed by Miss Rose, and for what?
All right, I think the total is $573.79. She wanted to have the reception at her club, which is
Who
a
wanted to have the
bar.
reception at the club?
Pat, Mrs. Rose wanted to have the reception at her club or bar, or I think the sign on the front says honky tonk.
It's not a honky tonk. Excuse me, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Matter of fact, I have pictures of
Just
showing that.
talk to me, sir.
But anyway, we met there 2 weeks before the wedding to go over things that need to be done and this and that and the other. And she'd asked, in fact, about a week or so before that, if we could clean the carpet. We own and operate a carpet cleaning business. So we agreed that we'd come in and clean the carpet, and the deal was...
You mean before the wedding?
Before the wedding. And the deal was on the carpet was that we would clean the carpet for whatever it cost for materials.
Go ahead.
We went in and cleaned the carpet. In fact, my wife and my stepson had went and cleaned the carpet. They were in there for like 6 hours. We used somewhere around 60 gallons or 62.5 gallons of cleaner. in this restaurant. It was extremely, extremely bad. I mean, for the square foot of a bar.
It was a dirty carpet. Then you cleaned it. That's your business.
Right.
Okay.
So anyway, Thursday night we stopped by the club. They were in there starting to set up. They were blowing up balloons, I believe. She said she didn't have a way to go to the store to pick up some of the food items that she wanted to prepare for the reception. And we said, well, we can go do that. My wife left, went to the grocery store, picked up the food items, brought them back. We said we would settle up after the wedding. The wedding took place on Saturday. Monday, we went back in to pick up some of our things. In fact, we'd sent her a bill later on that week after we'd got everything together. She called and said that she didn't think she owed that kind of money. We sent her receipts. We heard nothing.
Okay, so your receipts are for what, sir?
The receipts are for the items that were bought at the grocery store.
And how much was that?
$53.24.
$53.24 of the items you bought at the grocery store. And what else?
We'd taken some ribbons and things by for table decorations. I mean, it's just simple things like 94 cents on ribbons and stuff like that.
So, yeah, go ahead, 94 cents. What else?
Right. It was some things in there from Food Line.
All total,
Meat.
sir, for the items that you picked up for her, that you have receipts for, how much do you have receipts for?
Oh, Lord. Be $123.79, I believe, Your Honor.
$123.79. All right. And what's the other money for?
The other money, the $450, was for materials used in carpet cleaning.
Okay. That's what your claim is, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let me hear from you. What's your claim about?
Would you like these receipts?
No.
Well, first of all, Your Honor, when I talked to his wife, Mrs. Murray, about cleaning my carpets, I told her it was for the wedding because I wanted the carpets to be clean for the reception. First, she said, no charge. I said, no, I will not let you do it free of charge. She says, well, why don't we get the boys to clean the carpets and I'll charge you for the chemicals. And I said, that's fine. How much do you think that'll be? She said $25 or $30. I agreed to that. The boys came in, they cleaned the carpets. And then the Thursday, as he was talking about her going to the grocery store.
I don't want to hear about the grocery store.
Okay, they came over to...
Shh. I don't want to hear about the grocery store. I want to hear about your counterclaim.
Oh, my counterclaim. Okay.
Right, that's what I want to hear about.
Okay, my counterclaim is $999.45. These are charges incurred because of the wedding, the rental of the dance area, which is half of what I would normally have charged.
Why did you charge him anything?
Well,
why'd you charge him anything?
It's a business.
What?
I coughed up $400
for what?
For the rental of the business.
No. Listen
I closed my business down, Your Honor, for 10 hours.
Just a second. How long was the reception?
The reception started at 4.
And was over at what time?
4:30, 5 o'clock, and it went on to 12.
Were there other people in the bar?
Not customers, no. Everybody was in there, was invited to the wedding.
Fine. How many children do you have?
One, thank God.
Good. So you have one child, and you happen to have a place where they could have the wedding. So what's the big deal if you close your place for a night?
No big deal.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephen Murray says mother of the groom, Pat Rose, owes for money spent on his stepdaughter's wedding. Pat says it's Stephen who owes.
What's next?
Preparation and setup.
What does that mean?
That was doing the decorations, all the things that had to be done, setting up for the food area, for the cake, the decorations for the club.
What else?
Clean up.
What else?
Rental of linens.
They
did not want to use my white ones. They wanted the champagne ones.
Fine. How much was that?
$65.
Good. Go.
I have invoices.
No. I want you to keep talking to me.
Okay. The food.
How much was the food?
My cost on the food was $601. I called a caterer to find out how much.
How many people were at the wedding?
187 people RSVP'd.
No. How many people came to the wedding?
I didn't do a head count, Your Honor.
But a lot of people.
Yes, it was full.
Okay, and the total cost of the food was approximately $601?
Right.
Okay, what else?
Champagne.
How much was that? Your cost?
$210. She agreed to pay for this.
Okay, what's next?
The bands and the DJs.
Are these regular employees of yours?
No, you book bands and DJs as you need them.
No, I'm asking you. Were these regular employees of yours? Did you pay them by the week? Did you pay them by...
No, you booked them per occasion. I had booked a band in there. Mrs. Murray called me and insisted that I cancel the band. I told her it would be just as cheap for me to let them go ahead and play because I had to pay a cancellation fee. She said she wanted a DJ and karaoke to cancel my band. I did. I paid the cancellation fee, hired a DJ, and as soon as I...
Now, do you give me some idea of what the cost was for the music?
I paid $290 cancellation fee. Then I had to turn around and pay another band that she insisted that I hire $300. The DJ and karaoke was $250.
Okay, what else?
And then there was additional wait staff, loss of linens due to the fountain, and the carpet. I have invoices for all this, Your Honor.
I'm being very arbitrary here. There are certain costs that I'm considering in my head and certain costs that I'm not. Now, Mr. Murray, how many children do you have, sir?
I have 2, and I have 2 stepchildren.
I want to know how many children you have.
2, 1 daughter, 1 son.
And how much did you pay out of pocket for her wedding?
That was my stepdaughter that got married, Your Honor.
Oh, it was your stepdaughter that
Yes.
got married. Well, that's your daughter. Step up.
Your Honor.
Just a minute. Your name is Miss Murray?
My name's Darlene Murray.
You have 1 daughter?
I have 2 children, 1 daughter, 1 son.
Are you employed?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Are you employed?
Yes, I am.
What I want to know is how much the parents of the bride actually expended for this wedding and what you spent it for.
Your Honor, first of all, may I please say...
Say nothing except answering my question. How much money did you spend to feed the guests at the wedding?
My agreement...
That's not what I asked you. How much did you spend to feed the guests at the wedding?
I would say that I spent over $200.
For what?
The rehearsal dinner, unbeknownst to me, was at my home. That was not pre-planned.
Who planned a rehearsal dinner at your home without your knowledge?
There was not to be, Your Honor, a rehearsal dinner because the rehearsal was going to be at 7 o'clock in the evening, the night prior to the wedding.
Right.
My son just got married last May, and it was...
How did you get to have a rehearsal dinner at your house without your knowledge?
Because we were doing dinner for the guests that were coming in from out of town that would be staying.
Your guests?
Correct.
Just a second. Just a second. Your guests?
Correct.
From out of town?
Correct.
Were any of the groom's guests from out of town at this rehearsal dinner?
They were not to be, but at the last minute, because of not planning correctly, Miss Rose informed me that they would then come to our house after the rehearsal. So I ended up with their family and our out-of-town guests at our home for a rehearsal dinner that we prepared all the food and liquor at.
Okay. No, don't answer. Don't answer me. Don't answer me. Don't answer me. How many people did you have at your home for dinner?
I would say 50 people there.
50 people. And of the 50 people, how many people were from the groom's side?
I would say roughly.
Not roughly.
Some people I didn't know. I mean, there were friends and out of town. I would say probably